Recording on.
Well, yeah.
All right, welcome to the May 14th Planning Board meeting. I would like to start with a motion to open the meeting. Made by Steve, seconded by Bill. Start the vote with. Bill, aye.
Bill, aye.
Marty, aye. Okay, so that, and Liz, are you online?
I am.
Great, so for attendance purposes, if you could vote as well.
Liz, I.
Ms. I, thank you. All right, if you could all join me in the pledge of
We
allegiance.
really can't hear you.
Me?
Can't hear any of you.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
we'll louden it up.
Thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we've got couple items where we've got applicants asking for continuance, so I think we're gonna clear those first. But first I'd like to introduce Rachel Benson, who's our new Director of Planning over here. Welcome her aboard. So she's been in place for 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, 3 weeks now. I'd also like to thank Joe Layton, who stepped in over and above. The position. I appreciate that. Showed your planning background, certainly showed, so thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so the first item that I'd like to hit is 180 Payne Street. And I believe we have some correspondence, Rachel, from them.
Yes, that was sent over to you all and is also can be found on the website as part of the exhibits. They've had a change in application, so they've requested a continuance until June 25th.
June 25th.
And we do also have an extension for the preliminary plan approval when it comes to time to that. as well.
Okay, so right now we've strictly got the public hearing for 180, but there would
Yes.
be another piece later.
Correct.
All right, so, and this is a continued public hearing. And it's a special permit, so we don't need to have a deadline moved on that. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to continue 180 Payne Street to June 25th. Oh, Mr. Layton.
Mr. Chair, before you take a vote, and it mainly, I don't know how many people are here for 180 Payne Street.
Show of hands if you're here. Lady in the back.
Okay. I didn't know if the board, just for the record, would like to read in sort of why the continuance is being requested. Since Chair mentioned that there is a change in management, but there's other details in that letter that for people in attendance may be interested to hear.
Okay. Joe, would you like to catch that one?
I have that right here, so I can
should
read it.
Please do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dear Bellingham Planning Board, I'm writing on behalf of the ownership of New England Country Club property in Bellingham, Jannery Holdings LLC and New England Country Club LLC, collectively known as ownership, to formally advise the planning board of a material change in the team working on the project and to respectfully request a continuance of the next scheduled hearing. Effective yesterday, ownership has terminated its contractual relationship with Andrew Flynn and his affiliates, Cooper Mill Acquisitions LLC and NECC Holdings LLC, who have been representing the project before the town. Mr. Flynn and his entities no longer have the authority to speak for, act on behalf of, or make represent regarding this property or the property, this project or the property. Ownership is resuming direct stewardship of the project going forward. I spoke with the town administrator's office earlier today regarding this change and was advised that a letter to the planning board would be the appropriate next step. This letter is intended to serve as that formal notice. Given the timing of this transition, ownership respectfully requests a continuance of the currently scheduled hearing date. A short continuance will allow ownership to the necessary time to regroup engage replacement professionals where needed, and prepare an update for the planning board regarding next steps. Ownership remains fully committed to advancing a project that the town could be proud of. We intend to continue to work closely with the planning board, the town administrator, and town staff, and to keep the board informed at each step as we reestablish a project team and redefine the project. Until further notice from ownership, all in writing, all correspondence concerning the property and project should be directed to me at the address and contact information below. Thank you for your patience in consideration of this request. Please let me know what the board may require in order to process a continuance, and I'll respond promptly. So I just want to
That's great for the record. Thank you for reading.
make sure that, people, especially in the audience or who may view this online later on, know the status of that project. And town staff, myself, Rachel, other staff, will be meeting with the ownership team and other people they bring in to sort of have discussions where a project goes forward. I don't even want to say this project. The continued date of June 25th will allow for those continuances, that discussion to happen in advance of that continuance. And hopefully, we can have that as a proper reset and sort of get back at what the community originally envisioned when they adopted the zoning.
Great.
So,
Thank you for reading that, and I know the letter says you were involved with it, so thank you for that. All right, so at this point, I would entertain a motion to continue 180 Payne Street to June 25th. Who's like the pleasure of? Someone. No. Made by Marty, seconded by Stephen. Vote. Marty, aye.
I believe I need to abstain and will not be on the board on June 25th.
Okay, you can abstain either way, but I don't think you need to, but okay.
Okay, I'm looking to you for advice.
You can abstain anytime you
I
want.
can say,
You can abstain
I
anytime
can
you
vote,
want.
right?
you can vote.
Even though I won't be here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and Phil, I, Liz,
Liz, I.
okay,
Steve, I.
okay, so that motion passes 5-0. And it is quite a letter that they sent, so that's good. It's a public record at this point. So it's sitting on our website at the town if anybody wants to view it. Okay. All right, so the next item that we will talk about now is 316 Hartford Avenue. And I'm seeing that they're looking to continue this to May 28th, 2028. Is that correct, Rich?
26, yeah.
26, sorry. 26. And do we have a decision deadline?
No, not for that one.
No.
Yeah, it's as long as the public hearing is open.
Okay, so we're okay there. All right, so we'll entertain a motion to continue the 316 Hartford Avenue public hearing to May 28th, 2026. Motion made by Bill, and then second, please. Second by Marty. Start the vote with Marty. Marty, aye.
Bill,
Bill, aye. Liz?
Liz, I.
Steve, I.
Steve, aye. Okay, so that one passes 5-0 as well. The next one I'd like to go through is the continued public hearing for 190, 194, and 198 Hartford Avenue. And it looks like they're also continuing the public hearing for 182, 186 Hartford Avenue. So I think we've done it where we accepted a motion to handle both of those at the same time. So I would accept the motion to continue the 190, 194, 198 Hartford Avenue, along with the continued public hearing for 182 and 186 Hartford Avenue.
Suma.
Okay, made by Bill, second by Steve. there's a question in the audience. I don't know if we can accept a question. We are continuing, without, discussion.
Can we ask why it's being continued until when?
I don't think we're gonna get into further discussion on that, but, you can call town hall and talk to Rachel. Maybe she can give you some information tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
And is there-
that's Brian,
When you
Brian.
continue it till when? Sorry.
We're to the to June 11th on both of those cases, both
Okay.
of those
Because
situations.
I've been here for the meeting. Just want to
You've
make sure.
been here a lot of meetings, and I
Okay.
appreciate that, sir. You're along with your service in the past, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion yet?
Yes.
We started a vote with Marty. Marty, aye.
Bill, I.
Bill, aye. Liz?
Liz, I.
Okay, Steve, aye. Okay, so those two motions pass 5-0 as well. All right, so we'll go to the top of the.
We did get one other continuance request for the Red Mill subdivision for their minor or major modification on that one. That came in just yesterday. They're asking for a continuance to May 28th to work through the peer review.
To
Comments?
May 28th.
Correct, May 28th.
How are we on May 28th, agenda wise?
So far, if you move to continue that, you'll have three things on that docket, 2 public hearings and a decision.
Okay. Just I want to make sure. it's
I've
not-
got,
You know.
I've got it looking ahead, yes.
Thank you.
I may live only 16 minutes away, but you know, we all want to go home, right? Want to be here too late.
Okay, and so. All right, so we would accept a motion to continue the Red Mill discussion to May 28th. 2026.
So moved. Second.
Made by Marty, second by Steve. Marty?
Marty, aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Bill, aye. Liz?
Liz, I.
Steve, aye.
Steve, aye. Okay, so that passes 5-0 as well. All right, so that's Red Mill. Okay, so I guess the next one on the list here, we're back up to the top again?
Yeah, you're good to go now, yeah.
All right, good.
Sorry.
No, please continue that. All right, so the next item on the agenda is going to be a new public hearing for inclusionary housing special permit. Blackstone North Street, 1 to 15 Whitman Circle. And Patrick, could you read the public notice there that we have on the agenda, and the applicant can join us? That'd be great.
Sure, this is a new public hearing, inclusionary housing special permit, Blackstone, North Street, 1 to 15 Whitman Circle. The applicant, Woodland Peak Development LLC, care of Ernie Vediera, applied in accordance with the town of Bellingham zoning bylaws 240-101, special residential use townhouse dwellings, inclusionary housing. The applicant proposes to build 2 two-bedroom affordable units by lottery located at North and Blackstone Street in Bellingham, Mass. Approximately 20.84 acres of land, showing on the assessor's map 59, zoned agriculture.
Thank you, Patrick. I would accept the motion to open the public hearing. Made by Bill, second by Steve, and we'll start the voting with Marty.
Marty, aye. Bill, aye.
Bill, aye.
Steve, aye.
Liz?
Liz, I.
Okay, so that's 5-0. We're now open. And if you could introduce yourself for the record, and I think you probably have a presentation for us.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. My name is Ernie Patera. I am the owner of Woodland Peak Development, who is doing the development of the 15 townhouse project off of Blackstone, the cul-de-sac with 5 buildings around it and 15 townhouses. I don't have a link to, I don't know if there's.
I just heard your name, and so I was, I was like, oh, yes, you sent an email. I can forward you that invite now.
Okay,
You can log in.
I'm assuming you're gonna present the stuff you've submitted to the town.
Yes, exactly. In the meantime, while that's going, if you guys have the file, do you want me to wait or did I?
No, that's fine, actually, we might actually be able to pull it up faster, but it's just the presentation that you had, it's two page.
Yeah, the items are in that file that was sent, someone can go to the date.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you're-
sent you
you're-
the invite, but
Okay,
which one was it? The visual of the inclusion?
I got it, yeah, I got your, wait, I got your link. Does feel like I have a slow connection here.
Okay. So I have the application. And then that,
Yeah, do you have the graph?
do you want
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah, that one's good, yeah.
You also just present it to share it with the screen so Liz can follow along
Thank you.
with the kids at home. Rescaling. Okay. Oh, get through there. While I'm trying to skip it.
Super, yeah, that's good enough. So, on that plan, on the right-hand side, that's Blackstone. Then we have a new street called Whitman Circle, goes into that cul-de-sac. We started to do the development, the first building, as you come in on the left, is the one that was recently constructed. Almost, I guess, the two of the units are not official, don't have the CO yet, but we're close. And we are, so this was approved. We're back to get approval on the two affordable units. And we're proposing that they be starting on the right-hand side, that's building one. In building one, the middle unit, and then in building two, also the middle units. I was here either like December or January to get some feedback on whether
Yeah, to you.
whether to do a mix of like a just middle unit or a middle unit and an end unit. And the feedback I got that overall, some preferred it to be a middle unit and end unit, but consensus overall seemed like there was enough support to propose the two middle units. And the two middle units in particular were proposed because I was at a conference in the fall. It's a multifamily conference, and I learned about the benefits of having middle units as affordable. The first reason is focus on energy efficiency and lowering utility costs. So middle units have two side walls that helps reduce heat loss. As a result, the heating and cooling bills are 10 to 20% lower. The focus here is on making the homes affordable for people, so having lower energy costs ties into that theme. The second reason is focused on privacy and noise insulation. So these homes are built with soundproofing walls. And that actually reduces the noise further than just having an exposed wall. So having the two walls on the side with insulation further blocks out noise from cars on Blackstone, rain, thunder, and such. The third reason was focused on enhances the community aspect. Person in the middle has an easier time and more natural conversation with people on both sides versus being on the end and not being as connected to the person on the other end of the townhouse building.
If I remember correctly, there was a split vote, and it was basically you were asking for a vote for, it wasn't the special permit that was opened at that point. It was more or less coming in looking for guidance, if I remember correctly.
Correct, yeah, it was just a discussion.
It was a
Yeah.
discussion thing, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a 3-2 split vote on whether or not the center building was acceptable in both cases. And there was the overall vote was that it was the 3-2 vote was that there was three people that had thought that maybe that center was okay. 2 people were against it. And that was a 3-2 vote with not being a special permit. Now we're in a special permit where you need a 4 seat majority to get this one through, to get it approved, basically. So,
Okay, yeah, that's how I recall it too as well.
You recall it
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well?
yes.
okay, and I also remember that the discussion of whether the market, whether the center one was probably going to be, you could get a less of a, market rate for the center ones than maybe the end one out in the marketplace, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so that's correct, and that's driven by the size of the middle unit. So the middle unit is 1,850 square feet. The end units are 2,100 square feet or 2,150. So that drives the difference in the price. Actually, the middle units on a price per square foot are more expensive than the end units. Because of the way this division works out.
So there is a pricing difference based on, so that they're not equal though, as far as, someone coming in and saying, is it less desirable? You listed 3 different reasons why, you believe that it might be more desirable. But the market rates would certainly be different based upon what you just said, because the middle ones are smaller at this point. So there's a definite difference between these 3, if you 3 in a row.
Yeah, and the way I read the guidelines was that the outside needs to be the same and you can't tell the difference. So whether perhaps the inside is different from the others, then you can have differences on the interior, and that includes size. So the outside is actually going to be exactly the same. Can't tell any difference. It's not like one's got a fireplace in the stack and then the other one's not gonna have it. In thinking through this as well, initially I was not gonna put air conditioning because I'm not obligated to do it. But then I thought about, well, someone doesn't have air conditioning, they may get window units. At that point, it would be distinguishable that these middle units have air conditioners in the front and the back, no one else does. So I decided, without anyone asking me, to add air conditioning into what's included in the plan.
Okay. Great. Does the board have any questions, or would they like to
Yeah.
see a list of amenities?
No, I'd like to ask a couple of questions because our vote the last time also included you were going to the state with our vote based upon how we felt, and you were filing with the state for the inclusionary housing. What was the results of that?
Procedurally, we're here first to get the approval from the town, and then we're gonna submit with the approval from the town to the state. We did reach out to the state, candidly, they share that they would prefer an end in the middle unit, but they said it's not required. And so if the town is satisfied with it, then they would be satisfied with it. So up to us to decide. I guess you all to decide.
Can I just speak? I was one of the no votes. And I will tell you why. We've gone through this in town numerous times. They have to be like kind quality. But you can't differentiate. 200, 300 square feet, they're not exact. For me, that's enough, but I want to carry it further. This is and I appreciate looking out for these inclusionary units to be less expensive. However, when these are occupied and you have families, kids are kids, and they're gonna realize that Joe Smith and Joe Jones, who live in two of the middle units, are subsidized. And that's one thing we don't want to give the stigma to anyone living there. I think the square footage is a difference. I disagree with your premise on the air conditioning in a unit that we approved, what, 2 years ago? They were not gonna put air conditioning in. We reviewed the inclusionary housing. We said you cannot drive by a house and notice any differences. So those houses that did not have air conditioning did not appear like kind quality, the ones that did. So that's why that builder back then added the air conditioning. I'll be honest. And I appreciate your presentation. If I was to vote tonight, I still think they're different. And one should be an end unit and one should be a middle unit. I have no preference on location, but that's my opinion. Ideally, for location, they shouldn't be both in the same triplex.
May I add 2 points of clarification?
Of course,
On the air conditioning, these units are gonna have geothermal. There's no exterior condensers,
okay,
so you won't be able to tell that who has air conditioning and who doesn't have air conditioning.
okay,
And the other point is that there's 5 middle units. All 5 middle units are the same size. So the ones on the top would be affordable, but then the ones on the bottom that are middle units are also the same size.
okay.
Let me just clarify, you're offering AC into those inclusionary housing units, is that correct or not?
Correct.
Correct, so we are doing okay, so that piece is there, I just wanted to clarify that based on your discussion.
Yes.
There. I would like to see the amenities, I think that's this next page. And if you could. I noticed at the top of that list, it says basically no difference on the outside.
Correct.
Okay, so I would, and there is a little different listing than what we had the last time, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, so
So you've updated it so that all of the appliances are in both the inclusionary and the non-inclusionary. If you could go through the differences, that would be great.
sure. So the differences are on the flooring. So the market rate ones, some cases have tile flooring in some of the rooms. The affordable units, just the luxury vinyl plank flooring. The carpet grade would be slightly different. Hard to tell the difference. Carpet, to many people, carpet's carpet. The countertops in the market rate are granite or quartz, but then there would be laminate countertops in the affordable. The appliances, sometimes hard to tell the difference, but standard appliances versus a more affordable package. I'm still looking to do stainless steel, but just a more affordable package for appliances. What else is different? The market rate units have an island in the kitchen. The affordable one would not. Kitchen would be same size in all 5 middle units, but I just not have the island. What else is different? The primary bathroom has 2 sinks. This case it would have 1 for the affordable, and recessed lights in the market rate, no recessed lights in the affordable units. So in the bedrooms, those should be one center light, for instance, instead of 4 recessed lights. But there would still be a ceiling light, just not 4 recessed lights.
Okay. Liz, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Steve?
A few. Do you have any 3D renderings of what this looks like?
I do.
Giving permissions.
And while she's putting that up, my other question is, you said the square footage cost is actually higher in the affordable units?
Correct.
Why is that?
The affordable unit, the middle units, are priced around 700,000 or 699. You divide that by 1850. Versus the other units for 750, divide that by 2150. When you do the division, the corner units work out to like 370 or so per square foot, but the middle units work out to be like closer to $400 a square foot.
But my question is, why is that? You know, what costs more per square foot in the affordable units than in the market?
So really the cost of construction is just, it's about the same. So the middle units end up having a market price that generally, like if you did it just purely based on what the same comp was, the market would be too low. Like if you buy like a $5,000, a 5,000 square foot home, almost in the vast majority of the cases, the price per square foot is less than if you were to buy like a $1,700 square foot home. So if you were to price the smaller home at the same price as the larger home, the smaller home would be like half the price using the comps. It's just the way like market rates, like market prices work out.
So you're spreading the cost of the end units over a larger piece of property, so to say,
Right,
and you don't have that luxury in the smaller units.
right.
So it's almost like a math equation.
Yeah, it's a mathematician.
Yeah, it's based on market value.
It's, yeah, so, all right, so,
I got a couple more.
go ahead.
I'll just give you my general thoughts on it. I don't necessarily have an issue with what you're looking to do. I respectfully disagree a little bit with Bill in that when I look at these homes, I suspect I will not see a middle unit that I would say, well, the person in there is, being subsidized or it's affordable. I would look at it as a 3-unit home. So for me, I wouldn't put a stigma on a middle unit. So, that's my thought on it. And at the end of the day, I don't want to, again, speaking for myself, impede something that I think the town could use, and that's housing. But
Yeah, so just to clarify, this housing unit was approved prior as part of that condition of approval.
Yeah.
Is to come before us and seek a inclusionary housing permit, which we're doing now.
Right.
So the stance is, the number of units was approved, the location was approved, everything except the inclusionary. I think that was the only. That's the idea.
wasn't the thought that there was some concern that it wasn't going to be inclusionary as it was being presented. That,
No,
No, in the beginning.
most locations are inclusionary unless there's a special exemption.
Okay.
So,
Right.
do you have any other comments?
no, I just wanted to see the 3D rendering.
Rendering. All right, so I'll make the comment that I was also one of the dissenters that believes that, and I agree with the state, that it really is that, having a smaller unit in the middle, and having all of your inclusionary in the middle, doesn't really go with the spirit of the law. You did make some points. I disagree with the overall premise. This individual member has voted several times with that, and we've been involved in votes that have basically said you can't have a smaller unit, and all the smaller units can't be inclusionary, even though you've got other ones there. I see I see this as not a favorable inclusionary housing thing. I do appreciate the fact that, you changed the amenities that have gone with it. And at this point, I think you've heard the board's point of views.
No, I have some comments.
Please do.
I have one just before of why.
Marty,
it's
please
safe.
do.
Middle units. Are all the middle units no island in the kitchens? Or just the affordable units?
Just the affordable.
Just the affordable, okay. And the master bath, one sink, just in the affordable?
Correct.
Okay. I was in the affirmative with you. I've gone through this before in other circumstances. This planning board in the town of Bellingham has included external homes like and similar in needs. 200 square feet is not a big difference. They have a garage, they have central air, they're having all the amenities. The state does not require, they said, we'd like to see it, didn't mandate it. I think the town has to look at that factor, that the state is not mandating this and giving, they said they would like it. That being said, I see no reason in the fact I live in a middle unit of a multifamily home. The energy rates are hugely different between middle and end. And when we're talking about an exclusionary housing, you have to keep in mind the cost for those people to maintain that house. And it's a huge factor. And I think it's something that really needs to be strongly considered, because from the outside, you're not seeing a difference. From the inside, it's like and similar. And again, it's like and similar. It's not exact. Inclusionary housing is not a $100 piece by piece. And we let people build houses or buy houses and revamp them, and they sell them at a loss just so that they can build developments. And this planning board in this town has done that over and over many times in the past. And I think in good faith to this developer, he's trying to do it. He could have went and tried to get a house outside, like most of the other developers in this town do. And I think in his good faith, and I think it needs to be approved.
Okay, we're not dealing with a off-site location, and the ones that I've been involved with in the off-site, and just hear me out, right, for you, was, the off-site ones, the ones I've been involved with since I've been on the board have like been rehabilitation type things. And have been ones that somebody's come in and taken over a loan and put the housing back in the market. And we've been involved in several of those, so to me, it feels like a little different, the ones I've been involved with.
I agree.
Okay. All right,
They've enhanced the neighborhood by going off site and getting something when you get back on the tax rolls. So I think it's slightly different. I'm gonna come back to the state. They would like to see it. I'm sorry, that's not for me. Not for me, the difference in square foot. I'm just one person.
All right, is there any other discussion among the board? Liz, any other comments?
That's, yeah.
No, thank you.
All right, so at this point,
Does,
right,
yeah, just because it was before my tenure here,
Okay.
I do know that, did Rob or Joe, did either one of you have a conversation with the state on this one? And in my dealings with the state, they're never gonna give you a direct answer until you actually submit an application for it, you know, they're gonna tell you, that's just typically what happens with that.
I don't think, I didn't hear the town. unless
So,
you know something different than I do.
So I did have conversations with Executive Office Housing and Livable Communities, and they indicated that it's their preference to have diversified housing units. While it may be true that there's not a requirement, meaning that they would deny it, it's their preference. And Liz Rust, the town's affordable housing consultant, did reference the town's 2014 LIP policy that identified diversification of units, and that it was her recommendation, working with Rob back in December, and I believe when this matter was in front of the board. And then we do have confirmation from Housing and Livable Communities that they would prefer to see diversified units. But that's as far as they went.
I'll also point out that within your inclusionary housing bylaw, section 179 of that, provisions applicable to affordable housing units on or off-site. Your first two ones are siting of affordable units. All affordable units constructed or rehabbed under this bylaw shall be situated so as not to be in less desirable locations than market rate units in the development, and shall, on average, be no less accessible to public amenities such as open space as the market rate units. Minimum design and construction standards for affordable units. Affordable units within market rate developments shall be integrated with the rest of the development and shall be compatible in external design, appearance, construction, and quality of materials with other units. That's your own bylaw as well.
Thank you, Rachel. And the way I read that, we meet that definition.
All right, so at this point, we've had a discussion. Is there any other board member that has another? Patrick,
Yeah, I got a question. So this is a special permit. Am I voting on this?
because all other 5 members are here, the chair would not ask you to vote on this this time. Because all
I have
5
no
members are
further
present and
discussion.
will be voting. So. All right, so at this point, we've had a discussion. And I would, the vote has to pass with at least 4 members voting for it in a special permit. And I would, accept the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept in the affirmative.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion based by Steve, second by Marty. And
I just
we'll
want
have a
to,
discussion, but
Alright.
motion's been made. Is there any discussion?
yes, I just want a clarification for the record. What does it mean by accepting in the affirmative? His application or the recommendations that we have outlined in our bylaws?
The application that he has in front of us is the locations that those are there and the differences between the amenities that he's listed there.
Okay, just want to clarify.
So. And what I'll do is, I'll start the vote with Liz. Liz,
Liz, I.
Steve,
Steve, I.
Bill, no,
Bill, no.
Marty?
Right.
Okay, so that motion does not pass, at 3-2. So at this point, we've got a situation where we're not passed. So I guess that's the decision point for tonight.
Okay, so for procedural, I just resubmit, or can
Why
we
Why don't we,
change it to an end unit and be done with it?
That's what's true.
Okay, so at this point, you're asking us to amend your presentation. Would you like to bring up, can we bring up the floor plan that you're proposing?
So in that case, and I'm running low on battery.
Okay,
In
we can
that
switch
case,
over.
in that case,
We can
this,
switch over. from
yeah,
this.
this would be plan B. And unit on the first building and the middle unit in the second building. Everything else stays the same.
Okay, are there any discussion points with the board?
I have none.
I have none.
Okay,
Does that change anything within the market rate unit, affordable unit in terms of the master bedroom, the island? Would that be removed?
It would all,
from the
it would all
entrance?
be this, it would all be the same.
The same, okay.
It'll be the same. The only thing that's changing here is the location from what was presented previously.
Just checking to make sure like and similar are being held based on what you applied for.
Only change is location of,
okay.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question? Procedurally, what is the best way to proceed right now? Heat a vote that failed.
On
I
the
just
two
want
middle,
to
on the two middle units.
Yeah.
Having it as two middle. Now you're gonna take another vote to have
Okay,
this
This outline done.
option
Okay.
B.
all right, just want to make sure procedurally we're not doing anything we shouldn't be by.
That's how I understood.
That's
your
what,
first vote.
that's what the applicant has made that
Okay.
change. All right, so at this point, if there's no other discussion with the board, I would accept the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept this as
The
presented.
updated
I'll second that.
second made by Steve, seconded by Bill. We'll start the vote out by Steve.
Steve, aye.
Liz?
Liz, I.
All right, Phil, I.
Bill, I.
Marty, I.
All right, so it passes 5-0. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Great evening, okay,
Best of luck.
thank you.
All right. All right, so the next public hearing is the 239 Maple Street. And if you could join us, sir. And if you can introduce yourself again for the record, and I appreciate you, the last time around working on this.
Sure, for the record, Attorney Brian Falk from Myrick here on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you. And, the floor is yours to, present, what you're proposing.
Sure, so this is a special permit application to modify, not special permit, development plan approval modification for 239 Maple Street. This is a 15,000 square foot commercial building. When we were before you last year, the thought was this was going to be a trades building occupied by one or two, either a plumber, electrician, something along those lines, with some of their construction vehicles on outside and offices and some storage on the inside. The user that has this property under agreement to purchase and operate does construction equipment sales and leasing, quality fleet services. And Nick Moynihan, the owner, was here a couple months ago before you to kind of give you an overview of what he's looking to do. So there are a couple provisions in the development plan approval that would need to be modified to accommodate this use. And I submitted to the board draft conditions, two that would modify existing conditions, and then a few additional conditions to address some concerns that the board had about this change in use.
Is your proposal is the exact same proposal that you were here like a month ago? Is there anything changed?
No, nothing's changed.
Great, thank you.
So if I don't know if everybody has a copy of the additional conditions, perfect. Just real brief, we would be amending conditions 4 and 7 from the original development plan approval, with some conditions on where the construction vehicles could go and their sizes and locations. And so Condition number 4 would be modified to allow for the outdoor storage of the construction vehicles. There would be not more than 6 in the front of the building, and they could not exceed 10 feet in height. And there could be not more than 10 in the back of the building, and they could not exceed 14 feet in height. This building is going to be about 25 feet tall, so the 14 footers in the back would be concealed by the building. And these would go in existing parking spaces. We have 28 parking spaces on the plan, so it would still leave 8 in the back, or 6 in the back, and I believe 8 in the front available for employees and the few customers that will be coming by. And the parking here, if you recall, under your zoning is based on the square footage of the building, not by the users. This particular use would have less employees and fewer customers coming by. So we think we would have ample parking with the construction vehicles in some of the spaces. Condition 7 is a prohibition in the original development plan approval on retail sales. This would condition that would allow retail sales for or allow sales and leasing of the construction vehicles. So it would be an exception to that, no retail sales provision. And then 3 new conditions would address some concerns the board had. Would be new number 34. Provides that the parking of the construction vehicles could not interfere with emergency vehicle access around the building. You have a swept path diagram in the approved site plan. And this condition would clarify that we can't be parking in a way that prohibits emergency vehicles from getting around the building. That would be a zoning enforcement matter. So if somebody goes by and we've got loaders blocking the aisles, we've got a zoning enforcement issue on our hands that the zoning enforcement officer can ticket us and compel removal. New condition number 35 would provide that there can be no loading or unloading of construction vehicles on the public way. Everything has to happen on site. There was a concern that we're going to be parking haulers along Maple Street and unloading and loading on the street. We don't plan to do that, and this condition enforces that. So if anybody sees that happening, that's a zoning violation. And then finally, new condition number 36 provides some additional language to require an amended landscaping plan be submitted along with a building permit application, requiring that there be not less than 8 evergreen trees with a trunk caliber of at least 4 inches planted along the front of Maple Street to help add additional screening for the building. So we have a landscaping plan that was part of the approved plan. This modifies that landscaping plan by clarifying that we have to have at least 8 evergreen trees in the front, and that landscaping plan has to be submitted prior to us receiving a building permit that would allow us to build the building and then later commence the use. The plantings have to be in place before we get a CO for the building.
Okay, there was some talk at one point about a berm. Is that still?
Right, so we provided 2 renderings, landscape renderings of the front of the building, one with a berm, one without a berm. We don't have a preference. We just thought it would be helpful for the board to see the difference. For us, it doesn't matter either way, and we would still comply with the evergreen planting requirement either way.
Okay. What, Rachel, can you put the those pictures up there just as part of the package? Thank you. Okay, so there's a hill there, and I see, so the trucks and the vehicles would be on top of the hill, basically. Okay.
There's one more.
Yeah. When it was approved that the idea was that there could be multiple tenants involved.
Correct.
Is that still at this point, are you looking for this to be converted, like, as part of the change to be one tenant? Or is this still open to?
Yeah, this is the The agreement is for Quality Fleet Services to buy the property. They would be the owner of the property and they would occupy the entirety of it.
Okay. One of the concerns I had was that, when we permit a site, it's for the site and ownership would change, tenants would change, but it's just, in my opinion, it's a site we're approving, not necessarily a tenant, although the uses change, like you're pointing out. So I'd be concerned about some of the things involved. But I'll hold up. Patrick, do you have any concerns you'd like to bring up?
I
on
have no
this?
questions or concerns right now.
Okay, Marty?
Based on the last meeting and all my notes, then I read through this, it covered all of our concerns and questions. And the fact that it's one tenant, we're taking fleet vehicles out, so even if it changed ownership, you're still with all these conditions of vehicles, sizing, where they have to be. Even if it did change ownership, there's still a lot of conditions that new owners or tenants would have to abide by within this.
So,
Because
I'm
these conditions
thinking
are
there's a
sitting.
strike, and the applicant can correct me if I'm wrong, but the first paragraph says outdoor storage of, and you're striking the fleet vehicles. So you're basically saying you can keep the fleet vehicles is not an exception at this point. Is that correct?
Well, the idea was, with the prior approach, fleet vehicles would be, we don't want, 30 plumber vans
Yeah.
out front. I just wanted to strike that just to clarify, they're gonna be vehicles here, that's the whole point of this, but they're construction vehicles. The business happens to be called Quality Fleet Services and they sell and lease, a wide variety of pieces of construction equipment to various construction operators. So I struck that just so there wasn't any confusion. We're gonna have vehicles there, it's Quality Fleet Services.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing.
But it's not, so to me, if there's a difference between fleet vehicles and construction vehicles. I don't know how we clarify that. I think your intention is to basically not have those 50 plumbers. And plumbers is, I'm thinking Amazon.
Sure.
There's too small of Amazon, but that's the example.
Yeah.
50 or 25 vehicles of Amazon would not be allowed with the words fleet. But the construction that's what you're trying to do is get the construction equipment. So I think that probably needs to be clarified as far as what we're looking to do once we get there. Any other?
No, other than that, I think this hit everything that we were concerned with. The adding no parking within the sweep zones, that was great to add. The additional conditions, I'm very pleased with.
Bill?
We spent a long time, as you know, on the original thought of what was going on. We took into consideration the needs of the neighbors and the fact that it is a quote unquote scenic road. I feel a little uncomfortable changing a bylaw on a condition. I'd like to know what the neighbors said
Okay.
before I go further.
Okay.
I'm conflicted, to be honest.
We'll open it up then. Liz, any comment you'd like to make before we open it up to the public?
No, I agree with Marty. I think the new conditions help ease the concerns we had, and the rendering was really helpful to understand where they where they plan for the staging of the equipment and vehicles in the front. So I'm good for now. Thank you.
Steve, any concerns?
Marty and Liz, I agree with both of them.
Okay. At this point, I'd like to open it up to the public. Does the public have any comments they'd like to make? And I'm seeing none made. So sir,
Jeff Prescott, 314 Maple Street. I think I had mentioned in the past that
I didn't really have a problem with this and it looks fairly decent and I've looked at their other sites. The one thing I did bring up the last time is the fact that if they're going to be doing repairs on this site, does the building contain what it needs to? Because it's a different use of the building. And I know,
Oil spillage and
as
things
far
like
as
that.
containment of, and that was the only thing that I brought up last time. The fact that it's a scenic road, this looks closer to meeting scenic road stuff than most of the other stuff on the street nowadays, so I don't have a problem with it. It's across from something that looks worse, if you wanna, mulch piles and fires and everything else like that, so I don't have a problem with this, and there's no other neighbors. I mean, all the abutters are like Amazon and 495, so.
Can I ask you a question? If you-
You go ahead.
Didn't you want like a marker somewhere?
Oh, so the original plan, when it was gonna be, I suggested at the time that if they named that site or the businesses or whatever, they consider Quaw Hill, which is the historic name of that area.
Okay,
But since it's gonna be one company, it's probably gonna be their name on the sign.
all right,
It might, but it's still something that it would be nice if there was some way they could work that in.
Speaking as one person. And knowing what you do for the town. If there was some way they could put a placard or something. That reflects Qual Hill, since it's one owner.
It's possible. I mean,
Okay.
I'd be willing to work with them if they wanna do something like that.
Okay.
But-
Again, I'm just one person.
Mhm.
Okay. Does the town staff have a comment? And I know you guys weren't around for the original, so. No comments from town staff.
Most of all of the uses that, they're proposing to change are all yeses within the B1 zone, if that helps.
That's helpful, thank you.
Yeah,
That's helpful. Do we? So I understand you put a condition on there about the circulation with fire safety. When we looked at this before, I was concerned that if we put the number of vehicles in the back, that a ladder truck wouldn't be able to circumvent it. Did you guys take a look at that with town staff at all, or with the fire department?
We have this, it's the same swept path plan in the approved site plan.
But now you're changing it to construction vehicles as opposed to parking of, like, we put my car in, the back versus putting one of your construction vehicles in the back, and it's certainly a different animal. That's what I was concerned about.
Yeah, the way we hope to address it is we're restricted to putting the construction vehicles within the parking spaces. So we can't put them outside the parking spaces, number one. And then number two, we're not permitted to park vehicles in a way that prohibits the emergency vehicles from getting through. So we've got conditions to address that. If we've got something that's too big and won't fit in the parking spaces and would block emergency vehicle access, we won't be able to park it that way.
Yeah, I see 34 with the emergency vehicle access around the building. Where's it call out that they've got to stay in the actual parking spots?
In number 4, I'm just looking for it now. Oh, I'm sorry, it's number 34. Construction vehicles stored outdoors shall be located within designated paved parking areas and shall not be parked in a manner that interferes with the emergency vehicle access around the building.
Okay. Please do.
Just for future reference. Would you object to, standard parking spaces? I'm afraid down the road, the parking spaces could get bigger. Or, is there some agreement that these parking spaces are standard?
They are on the plan.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Okay,
I'd
I'm
like
just,
to hear,
Yeah,
I'd like to hear from,
yeah, to that point, the site plan is designed with standard parking spaces. It has a striping plan and it notes the dimensions of the parking spaces on the site plan.
Okay, I am concerned about the fleet vehicle being removed. I understand their name is fleet vehicle, but I am concerned because as I was commenting before, we're permitting a site and a use and not necessarily your individual soon-to-be owner. I'm not sure if there was language that you'd like to propose to try to clarify that as such. I do see, Bill, you're, maybe perhaps under 34, changing, adding the language within designated standard paved parking lot area, I think would alleviate that, that comment and be with the spirit of what you're trying to, what you're trying to do here. And I think that didn't seem like a big change other than the language.
Yeah, because I'm okay with, reinserting fleet vehicles or not striking that. That's okay. I was just trying to avoid confusion in terms of what we were doing. That was the idea.
Okay, so you'd be willing to put that back
Yeah,
in?
that's fine.
All right, does any of the board have a concern about the number of vehicles in the front of the building versus the use that's there now?
not that they don't exceed 10 feet. That's no more than the standard vans nowadays with roof racks on top of it. And they're talking bobcats and backhoes and things of that nature. And with the pines and or giant abrevieties, you're not gonna see them. Especially if there's already a raise of over 8 feet from street level up to the parking lot now. I just went by there today.
Okay.
It's quite a discrepancy.
Liz, we're trying to include you, so I'll ask you again, is there any comment you'd like to make or not make? That's fine.
No, no more comments. Thank you.
Okay, any other concerns by the board or staff?
no,
Okay. Then I would,
how's the motion?
suggest a motion that would include either way, I think putting in the designated standard paved parking under 34. And then also putting back in the fleet vehicle cross out up at the top. I think that was something the applicant was willing to do. And I don't think there's a difference between tenant and operator from the point of view of my point of view, so. Is there any other concerns that the board would like to have? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion on 39 Maple Street to approve the amended conditions as outlined this evening by adding fleet vehicle back in. Also approving new conditions and having standard parking space added to item 34.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
A motion made by Bill, seconded by Steve. Start to vote out with Steve.
Steve, I.
Liz?
Liz, I.
Bill, I.
Bill, I.
Marty, I.
Okay, so that passes 5-0.
Great, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate
For your
it.
time.
Appreciate it.
Best of luck.
All right, next item up on the agenda is 40 Grove. And if you could have the applicant's representative join us, that'd be great.
Good evening, board.
For the record again, if you could say.
Scott Ambler, I represent Mr. and Mrs. McCarthy. I have some further updated plans for the board that just.
Okay, so we do have procedural rules that we can pass some new stuff out.
Well, so they are very slight amendments to what had been sent in after our last meeting. And they were done just because if you recall, at our last meeting, the board said that, the following Monday, you were gonna meet with department heads. And get their input on everything. That took place. However, no one informed me of anything that any department head came back with any comments or concerns. And just by chance, today, when I was in the building and I was speaking with Rachel, I found out that the fire department apparently did have some issues with the plans that we had modified and sent in terms of the width of the driveway and the initial plan, we showed a circular turnaround in front of the house. And the plan, apparently the fire department, had concerns about that. They were wondering how they would turn emergency vehicles around and indicated that they prefer a hammerhead turnaround. So
these changes are basically specifically
only
because of the fire.
yes, everything else is the same. So essentially, at our initial meeting, what the board had indicated they wanted us to do.
Can we make a copy of this? Do we have this electronically that we can put up on the?
Not this one, unfortunately.
No, we only have
The one with the circular turner.
That's.
I can turn it around.
Yeah, if we
Perfect.
could,
Hold on,
for the audience, so that we could, especially.
Joe gets so smart. I know what he's gonna do.
Where this is a new one, we definitely want to make sure, we're, allowing the public to, participate in this. Apologize for interrupting, but nope, definitely wanted to do that. All right, so I look forward back to you.
So at our very first meeting, the issues raised were that the board wanted us to indicate basically the house box. And we have a comment shown on the plan now that, and I'll just read it, so that it's in the record. Says the proposed house box shown is subject to change once the final design of the lot is completed. Final house box must fit within the box shown or the special permit be modified. So if you recall, the house box shown is a rather large 45 by 90 box, and it was discussed by everyone that was well in excess of what any final home dimensions would be. So that's to address one issue. The second was to address the requirement that a 200 by 200 foot square shown in the area where the backlot was, and that's been added on. You indicated that you wanted to see the locations of hydrants on Grove Street, and those have both been noted on the plan, showing one on each side of where the proposed driveway would be, one being approximately 200 feet away, one being 240, I believe, if my numbers are accurate.
Those are existing already.
Those are existing already. You then also asked for the neighbor's property to be shown on the plan so that you could see and include site distances. And what this plan now shows is distance from the corner of the proposed house box to the home at 44 Grove Street, as well as the home at 44 Grove Street to the tree line. And the owners of 44 Grove Street actually themselves cleared a rather significant portion of their back of their lot behind their house, where they have a paddock area for their horse or horses, I don't know. But we show the distance from that cleared area that they have to the tree line as well.
Let me ask the question, the tree line, is this tree line going to stay in existence?
It is.
And how do you indicate that in the plan? As far as, I mean, I've seen places where the tree line basically is called out saying not to be removed and stuff like that. I've seen that on other plans. How do you clarify that for this plan? And again, I appreciate
I
what you
don't
did.
think,
I
I don't
agree with
think,
what you
yeah,
did.
I
I'm
don't
just saying,
think
how do
you
we do
can.
that?
I mean, I don't think you can, unless you get a conservation restriction put in place, saying no cut line or something of that nature. Once the properties are sold, can you prevent someone from cutting trees? I don't think that that is something that can be done necessarily. But I think you have to use some common sense in the approach of it. Whoever is buying and building on this backlot subdivision is going to want to protect some of their privacy as well. And they're not going to be wanting to see right into the backyard of 40 Grove Street. They're not going to want to see into the paddock area of 44 Grove Street themselves. So, and then you have the tree line also being a buffer between the back lot, lot number 2, and the other lot 3, which is an A&R lot. That's not the subject of anything tonight. So the only thing before us tonight is lot 2, the special permit request for the back lot approval. So, I understand what you're saying. However, I don't know, other than presenting it in that fashion, I don't know what to tell the board other than that. I mean, could a new owner come in and clear cut his lot? Yes, but any owner of property can do that.
Right,
The owner,
you're agreeing to something as part of a special permit that you're looking to do, and it sounded like you were willing to do it. It's just-
the owners of 44 clear cut the back of their house lot. They created some of the
Sure.
loss of privacy.
I'm sorry. We're here about your lot.
Yeah,
We're not here with lot 44.
well,
I'm sorry, I think that's not fair. Okay?
And it doesn't
okay.
sound like you had a issue with doing it. It's just.
If you want on the plan to say that
There was a buffer or.
that the existing tree line will remain.
If that was something you'd be willing to do, I'm saying a yes.
Yes.
Maybe town staff could suggest some language that we could use for that.
There is yes, because there's no intention on
Yeah.
cutting beyond that. What
Yes.
exists there is what would remain.
So in essence, it'd be an area of non-disturbance.
If you want to call it that, a proposed buffer area, tree line,
Okay?
I'll defer to the town planner if she wants to come up with language as to what to put on the plan.
Okay, and we'd be looking, I don't know what's reasonable with. How. I'm trying to think of things we've done in the past as far as the buffer and a buffer tree line that's not. Cuttable. You'd want it a little to be able to protect, sight line and that type of thing. I don't know what I'd be interested in a proposal to do something like that. What would be reasonable in the applicant's point of view, not our point of view? Like to hear a little bit more about
I mean, there's no intention to cut beyond that.
Yeah.
So what's shown is what is intended to be there.
Yeah. All right, so maybe we can work some language into that, because I know that was an issue that we had talked about last time.
Yeah, I mean, it says proposed disturbance shown on plan is 1.58 acres. Can you add not to exceed 1.6 acres? And I'm just saying in reference, because you might be 5 feet this way, for whatever reason, you're taking a said tree that's half dead down. And now you're within that, and that's all I'm saying is, once you get back there, you're like, that's a dead tree, I gotta take it down. Well, I'm gonna go outside of that 1.58, I'm at 1.6, not to exceed something of that nature.
What if you put in not to impact the existing tree line?
Or have a buffer of like, I don't know, 20 feet, 30 feet, I don't know what's reasonable here, along the property line. of trees that would not.
Yeah, is the intent to screen it from neighboring properties and maybe you
I
limit
think that
it
was the concern we
to
had
the
before.
ones where, you know, within to create that screening to neighboring properties.
Yeah,
And so that way it, you know, again, gives the new owner some freedom.
yeah,
Not taking away, you know, property rights.
yeah. Something that we can, we always look out for the neighbors, so that, to me, it didn't sound like it was an issue when we were talking about it, so if we just put it in writing, certainly something we could do.
Okay.
It's probably something that needs some thought, though. Okay.
I'm good at wordsmithing,
Okay,
you know.
all right, so is there any other concerns with the board right now? Yes. Okay,
Didn't we have a discussion about driveways? Didn't one of the neighbors say something?
Well, I think they were concerned about visibility in and out sightlines along the street from the proposed driveway.
And how, sir, how does this address that?
You'll note that was also included on the plan. That it shows the sight lines going in each direction, going to let me get.
The red line?
Going to the south of the driveway, it says sight line is 240 feet.
Yep,
And going to the north of the driveway, the sight line is 200.
okay.
So there's, we've shown that there's sufficient sight line distance.
yep. Steve, did you have a concern?
I actually have a couple of comments and questions, but they're not really for the applicant. I wanted to speak with the two residents that were here last meeting that brought up their concerns and objections. So first, I want to reiterate that my intent here is to follow the process, to be fair to the applicant, to be fair to the residents, and to follow the decision criteria. So having said that, I know, Suzanne, you're at 36?
36, well, my husband died.
So my question is this, I know the gun range is not part of this application, I get it, but if one affects the other. My question is that I know it's been a thorn in your side for a long time.
Yes.
So, and I'll say this, I'm a gun owner, I'm not a gun enthusiast. I have a license to carry, I do so where I'm permitted to do so for my protection, my family's protection. And I go to a gun range, but it's indoor. And I share that with you because I wouldn't want a gun range next to me. And I also know the gun laws in Mass, and I also know that Massachusetts is not a gun-friendly state. So as Attorney Ambler pointed out, if this thing gets approved, the gun range legally has to go away. And if it attempts to operate outside of the state laws, it's a criminal offense. So my question, what I'm getting at is, if I were in your shoes, I'm not, but if I were, why would you oppose this if this is finally a way to get rid of the gun range? Because the trade-off would be, there would be a house built and you get some new neighbors. So I just want to understand that.
And speak first and then I'll speak.
Okay.
I'd like to speak. That guarantees nothing. The 500-foot shooting rule from a dwelling is from other folks' dwellings. I can give hunters permission to shoot firearms 200 feet from my home with written permission. So it depends who lives in the dwelling, whether or not they'll be shooting at the firing range.
Right,
In
so.
the future, they could give permission, they could shoot off their
Right.
deck if their deck is 500 feet from adjacent. Have it.
To a dwelling.
Occupied dwellings.
Right,
Very clear and simple and.
so I hear
Yes.
your point in saying, yes, this military style illegal gun range will be gone from our neighborhood.
It is, in fact, at the
And,
moment.
I mean,
gone.
it has been for
We're
years.
looking to
which-
secure our future.
Right, so I don't know who's gonna move into that house.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's gonna continue to happen.
They may shoot their shotgun
They
off
can
their
shoot off their
deck
back deck,
if it's 500
Right.
feet from others,
cause my
simply.
concern is for who is gonna buy that house. I don't know who that person will be. And I think my husband and my concern is they've shot there so much and the drainage and the whatever's gonna happen over there, construction, you know, loosening the soil, whatever, who is gonna clean up that lead pile? Cause there are hundreds of rounds of, I don't know how many shots. I mean, so I feel like we need to protect ourselves. And we're also looking at the activity of the driveways that are going to be there. I have a written statement, if you're willing to hear it, if that's something about it that we put together.
We've layered concerns with the proposal. I'd like to see on the drawing the distance from our home to the home that wasn't on the last proposal. It's very close. Our privacy has
Our
been
privacy,
greatly
yeah.
affected. I realize more so with this revised drawing. I also question the curb cut for 2 driveways and a parking lot.
Which was originally, if you look back,
The parking lot was permitted with a barn with a 12-foot gravel driveway. It was built as a parking lot. It has a history of heavy use of the parking lot. We want to prevent that in the future. It has a massive curb cut next to 2 driveways. It looks like it needs a road to serve what it's.
I think it would better serve
Or
our
probably do.
neighborhood as to have a road with a cul-de-sac that they have to put utilities and everything down. Because the danger of having 2 driveways, in that drawing, it looks like it's this really huge amount of property. It's really not.
It's pretty
I'd love
expensive.
for the planning board to go there to see how 2 driveways and that parking lot, which is unpermitted, because it was originally permitted as a 12-foot driveway, but which became a driveway for their illegal venue barn, which is a utility barn that's a whole different subject.
I've got
But-
a small copy of that for public record.
And that should be on something that you guys can see in town. That amount of property is not, like,
Okay.
that's gonna cause a lot of
I don't see any
traffic.
need
So
for.
if I can
Sure.
alleviate some things. Number one is I'm concerned that it says on the plan, we're getting shooting range.
That's just so you can see where it is.
The location, so we located.
Yeah, and so any approved plan, that's gotta go.
Yeah, no, that was at the request of the board.
That's agreed, but that's different than
Understood.
if it's approved
Absolutely,
location.
yes.
That
So
could- that
that
could
was
be a
just for
condition.
references.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
the only reason why we put that on the plan is because someone at the last meeting
We
said
did
that
this-
it was in the
that-
wetlands, and it's not in the wetlands.
So that's why you're planning on getting, so the approved plan, if an approved plan goes through, that would not be.
If I may, we're
Please.
getting beyond what this special permit is. We're talking about lot 3. Lot 3 has nothing to do with tonight, nothing before the board. That is a lot that the board has no control whatsoever of approval on. It meets every aspect of zoning and can get approved as an A&R lot. You know, there's nothing that the board really can do about that lot. You know, if that one's done. Same with lot 1. The only thing before the board is lot 2 as a back lot subdivision. And what the board has its bylaws and, you know, which it, you know, and I'd be stating.
The criteria that
We went through all the criteria before, but again, you know, it has at least 50 feet, which it does. It has twice the lot area as required by the zoning bylaws, which it does. It must contain a box having equal sides equal to the normal required lot frontage, which it does. All of the other, you know, intensity of use schedules must be met, which it does. The egress must create no greater hazard, you know, owing to grade or visibility than would be expected of a standard land division. We've given you the, you know, that already tonight too. It meets that. Reduction of privacy. As already stated, the corner of that house lot, just to state, is 404.5 feet away from the neighboring house at 44 Grove Street. And there is the tree line that exists between the two that's more privacy than any normal lot in the town of Bellingham. The distance between the tree line and the house at 44 Grove Street is 342.9 feet.
Again, more than you'll find in any other property in this town. There was some discussion about it setting a precedent. There is not a single lot on Grove Street that can accommodate a backlot subdivision other than this lot. So it's not something that's going to be popping up as a request along Grove Street other than on this particular lot. I checked every other lot. None of them have the required acreage, frontage, anything of that nature. So it can't be done other than on this lot. And then it doesn't circumvent the intent of the subdivision control laws. This, you're creating three, well, there's already an existing house, but this is a home that's going to sit on over 4 acres of land in an agricultural zoned area. This proposal meets every single requirement of the planning board. You know, we'll take the shooting range off the plan that's going to be approved. That was for, again, identification purposes only.
Liz, do you have any questions on this topic?
No, I don't have any additional questions. I think you all are bringing up good points.
Okay, back to Steve.
So lastly, Maria and Brad, right? I listened to what you had said last meeting and I read through your letter. And I have some questions and I want to offer another perspective that I want you to respond to it so I understand where you're coming from. You brought up home values, community character, and privacy, all which are valid points. On the topic of privacy, when I look at this, and let me just first say this, no one should have to have their privacy unreasonably impeded because of somebody else's development. That's how I look at it, full stop. But when I look at this, it looks like the distance between the proposed house and your home would be roughly, Attorney Ambler,
404.5 feet.
So in comparison and in contrast, I have a neighbor about 400 feet to the side of me. We're separated by our landscape lots and by some treat area. And I don't feel any lack of privacy whatsoever. In fact, I think I have a substantial amount of privacy. And in contrast, if you drive through Bellingham, and I think Attorney Ambler mentioned this, I happen to agree, there's far more many homes that are much closer together, often not even separated by any trees. New development, old development, Main Street, just as an example, Lilac Ave off of South Main Street, just north of the VFW, they have cookie cutter homes side by side by side. You can reach out and touch somebody. So my question is, if privacy is a concern for you, help me understand your justification for this being a denial for it.
So when we went to where we live now, they were still building the house, and something that I immediately, when I pulled in the driveway, said, like, I called my husband and I was like, I found the house that we want to buy. We want to raise our family in, we want to live in for 30 years, because we love that we only have 2 neighbors, one on the left and one on the right. The entire backyard is just all the way back to the power lines, nothing. We'd own all those woods, the same with both neighbors on both sides. There's nothing across the road. And of course, I don't live in a delusional land. I'm sure they'll at some point clear cut across the street, but our backyard is so important to us. We spend a lot of time out there. My mom, she's older and really enjoys just like sitting out there in the afternoons and enjoying the sunlight. She, has mobility issues. And so just being able to like be outside and have privacy and whatnot is super important to us. So it's why it was so important to us to buy that home in particular. And, we have horses. It was very important to us that we buy some land that was agricultural. And absolutely what you were saying, like we had looked at homes for years. And the only reason we really liked this lot is because it was so special. It was so unique. It came with 5 acres. That was enough to have the 2 horses that we had, like bring them home, not have to have them at a barn. It was, like just so special. There weren't a lot of homes, and like even now, like if this goes through, our privacy is just going to be so invaded that, is staying in the town of Bellingham what we're trying to do. Like we really want to, but I don't really want someone in my backyard, and it's so hard to find another property. And I feel that when we purchased our house, we purchased it at a premium cost to, acknowledge the fact that you are getting something special. You're not getting a cookie cutter house. You're not getting something in a development. You're getting something that has 5 acres, is very private, it's very different. And I think that everyone in the 7 houses, or even, people that bought before the 7 houses existed, will say that the reason they bought their house where they did is because of the location being so private, being more country. Like, I don't want to live in Wayland. I don't want to live somewhere where like you're living on much smaller acreage. I really like how Bellingham was a right to farm community. You could, just live a little more simply, a little less city-like. And then something else that I would like to point out is when we were looking at the property, we were asking about the 7 lots and the fact that one of them is substantially larger than the other 6. And something that the builder stated was that they didn't feel that it was financially reasonable for them to build on the larger lot because they would have had to do affordable housing units. And something that's very important to me is like fairness and equality. And I just think that it feels like this application it'd be different if they were trying to build an ADU on this property or something, but they're trying to sell to a developer. And the reason it never got developed on in the first place is because you couldn't build that many houses without building an actual road to those homes to build like a cul-de-sac, but 2, also creating affordability units. And the builder didn't want to do that because it didn't make financial sense. So I don't believe that it's fair that now we're just circumventing that and we're getting rid of the ability to, support affordability units by just reselling it back to a developer. And, maybe we don't know, I know that the immediate thing that the lawyer's going to say is we don't know who's going to buy it, but like, we know a developer is going to buy it. These plans are for a developer. This is not for an ADU. This is for a full house, well, 2 full houses, but obviously just the one in question. So that means a developer, someone who can build, will build on it. And that already was said that we couldn't do that on this land. So I would like to kind of hear how that's allowed, that we're circumventing this law.
Can I, sorry, just for the record, because this is only 3 weeks in, name and address for the record.
44 Grove Street, Maria and Brad Spencer.
Thank you. And then you also,
Douglas and Suzanne Walton, 36 Grove Street.
thank you.
So, Maria, then let me just ask this quickly. So do you view the distance between your home and this proposed home of 400 feet? Do you view that strictly on the topic of privacy as unreasonable?
So something that's not shown on the plan that I would like to point out is there is a a full drivable road between our houses that's fully cleared between our 2 houses. So when you're like at our horse barn, you can see quite far because it's not like it got taken down, but it's not like the full wooded area that plan shows. And so absolutely in the winter, there's not that many trees between us.
Yeah, if I could answer that as well. So yes. My answer is definitely yes. And if someone could please put the plan back up, we had like 60 seconds to look at that. So like someone pointed out, I want to add to that. There's no guarantee on keeping trees of any sort. And also the trees that are there, it's all oak trees. They lose all their leaves for half the year. Like we can see all the way back to the power lines, how it is now. So a buffer of, obviously I need time to look at this. Like, I don't know how big that is, but if that's 50 feet, 40 feet, whatever, that's nothing.
Just to clarify, you're in the house to the, if I look at that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So to answer your question,
And right now, there's not a buffer between there and the back power lines, all the way back on the back easements that are along the back.
so sorry.
Yep, come on over.
So from here on, this is all trees.
Yeah.
The power lines are somewhere back here, not shown. And for half the year, we can see the power lines within many
Let
trees.
me ask the question. So we were talking earlier about maybe a buffer, and again, it was a discussion. Are there trees between your house and that proposed house that's in orange right now? That's the what?
So here to here?
Yeah. Is that a tree area?
There's none, yeah. Yeah, so there are some, but again, can I ask a question here? So this pink tan dotted line, this is the proposed house box?
No, that's the show, actually, the house box is the orange.
That's an orange.
What that bigger box is to display the size of that, of how big of an area it is, because one of the criterias that we have is that it's basically gonna be that size to be able to support a back lot. So what the applicant's done is basically said, put in the board asked them to do that, so that's what they've done. But my question to you is that between your house and that proposed house, which now it's gotta be, the house is gonna be in that footprint, are there trees there now?
So probably like that much.
So there is
So I
some,
mean, this is partially wooded now. I mean, there's, right, I mean, there is a road here, the range, the path, what we're calling a part road.
Which I just want to point
So,
out, that
so I mean,
makes it
it's
sound
partially wooded,
way
yes.
it's partially, what I'm asking because we were discussing earlier, perhaps putting in the applicant was suggesting that they would be okay with putting some sort of buffer along that. We didn't define that, but there was a no cut tree type of thing, I believe we were talking about.
But
that
he
we were
also
gonna discuss.
that was
So,
like a legal thing that he could do.
well, that's what we're trying to figure out, is that my first question was, are there trees there today? So you'd have to have trees there today for that to happen, even to progress in that conversation. So I think one of the board members pulled up Google Earth while we were
No, it's
here.
actually the CGIS interactive map. Rachel, could you pull?
The RIS,
Yeah,
good. So
because
this is
I
the,
mean,
So
and no offense, and I'm gonna bring up a point. Based on this map, your neighbor to your right, looking at your house, is only 150 feet away.
So, yeah, I'd love to address a lot of things that were brought up.
Right, so I mean, just when you make that comment, and then looking, this wooded area on the map is the same as across the street, and is the same throughout your entire property
Yeah,
back to your power
I'd love
lines.
to address that. So when the developer bought this property, subdivided into 7 buildings, right, and built all 7 houses at the same time, they're built in a way, right, architecturally, that yes, you have neighbors on each side, but they're built in a way with the room layout of the house where you don't have, the back of our house is all windows because it's not designed to have anyone at the rear. It's designed to have people on both sides. As the way everything was built is all 7 of these new houses on this land that were built at the same time are offset from the road, more or less the same footage, like the plan says here. No one else on the street, no one else in the location has a house behind them. This is the only place where you're proposing to build a house behind people on Grove Street. My answer to
yeah. no,
the part of the special permit about
One of the
access.
One of the things I would worry about is that if they sold all 3 of these lots off to somebody, what could they develop here instead of 3 houses like they've got here? And there's a situation where, they're looking to come in and divide this into 3 lots that are the house that they're putting in that back lot, they've actually agreed to define that the house has to go in that square. There's been a little bit of discussion here that maybe we would try to get some buffer there, and that's still be determined, but we're talking about maybe that's a possibility. But the concern that a typical resident might have is what else could they put there?
Well, I
And
just would like to point out that if you'd liked my vote, the lawyer had mentioned in the last meeting that they already had a subdivision plan already laid out, and they were doing us a favor by not going that route. Personally, I would prefer they go that route, because then I feel very confident in that they have the proper road. They have, like, the houses would all go around the cul-de-sac, like, it would be a much more determined, like, they have to follow the bylaws. I fear that if we give, or you guys give the variance, you can request, hey, I'd like you to leave a buffer. You can request, oh, this, road would be over here and the house would be here. But as the lawyer has stated, there's nothing saying that they have to follow that. That's them doing us a favor. Whereas if they do a planned development, there's structure about, like the gentleman who was here, discussing where the accessibility units could be. Like that is what would make me as a homeowner feel better about my property values, my privacy, that there's more of a structure and it's not going through a variance. It's going through like a planned.
This really is a variance, this procedure, so what they've done is propose something that's allowed in the criteria that's there without evaluating the criteria that Mr. Ambler mentioned is the criteria that, is set forth and, they can come in and do something different. If they come in, it'd be a different proposal, different project, a lot of different things. There's certainly not going to be, this board would not be approving a firing range, which would certainly be coming off the plans. I've heard the applicant was willing to talk a little bit about a buffer that we can put some language in there. I understand your concerns. I get your concerns.
Right, just have two more things on the buffer thing, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gone, but okay. When it was up there, I think the proposed, even if you could say 100%, there will be a buffer here and there's huge repercussions if that is interfered with, which I don't know how that's possible, but hypothetically, I still don't think it's enough. Like I said, it's all oak trees. There's nothing evergreen. You can see all the way through half of the year. So again, I disagree even with the buffer. And then second of all, lost my train of thought.
So did they could be coming in they could be requesting to clear the entire lot.
Right.
And it's something that they could do.
So
They'd have to come in and depending upon the land disturbance and all that, but they could come in and try to do something like that with another proposal. Rachel?
With the special permit that the planning board has for the back lot, I think it is reasonable for them to ask for a buffer along those areas that, where there are residents. And it might also be, the board can consider maybe having the applicant plant some, evergreen, trees, pines, that are gonna give, along that edge. So that way they can have some, evergreen or, year-round screening.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to be too burdensome on the applicant, but I
Right.
think if the applicant was willing to work with us, I think would be I think it would go a long way.
Additional plantings could be. I mean, that's a long area, the disturbed area and then distance on the lot lines. That would be quite burdensome.
What would you propose that wouldn't be burdensome?
If you wanted to put some language together about not disturbing beyond what's shown and keeping that tree line, I think that's more than reasonable. And that's certainly something that we'd agree to.
But hold on, he already agreed to that 10 minutes ago. And now we're trying to get it enhanced
Okay,
by working with the planning board.
okay,
You follow me?
I do, but I think so I think the applicant's coming in, they're looking to propose something, and this is, special permit. There are concerns. We are looking to put some buffer in. I think the applicant is talking about coming up with some language with Rachel to come up with some sort of buffer that is reasonable. I think the board probably maybe would like a little suggestion that we can talk about here as far as how big of a buffer, because it's not going to be unlimited, but something like that. But the applicant could come in with a different plan on this size lot that would be more of a disturbance, to be quite honest with you.
It's happened in this town.
It's happened in this town. I don't disagree with you, but I agree that there's change here. I do. And
This is another option, just sorry to interrupt, but like the Conservation Commission often does. We could put, you could install signs along the tree line saying, no cut line.
What would be reasonable? what would be reasonable? I guess I'd like to hear from maybe town staff too. What would be reasonable for a buffer? 20 feet? I mean, how many feet are there now? I mean, it's basically, yeah, something that could provide a little bit of privacy on both sides. For something reasonable that gets suggested.
It's not shown here, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at the distances that we have on the map that we provided between the house and the neighboring property. And it looks like from the tree line to the corner of this back lot, there's probably like 80 feet of tree line.
So are you proposing that 80 feet stays there?
Yeah, that's so.
Okay, so
An 80-foot buffer.
an 80-foot buffer is what I just heard.
Well, I mean, I don't know the exact footage. I mean,
Well-
that looks like from the tree line to the corner of the back lot.
If you're ballparking, we could say 75. I'm looking for a buffer for the neighbors is what I'm looking for. And
From their paddock
There's not-
area, from 44 Grove Street, from their paddock to their property line, there's already 40 feet of buffer of undisturbed trees already on their
Yeah,
side.
well,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
well, I'm just trying to give perception. Now you're looking at.
yeah, so I'd like to just.
Now you're going back to
I know,
the
but
340.
I'm looking for some buffer on your side that we can agree on, that we could
I
put in
think
the
it
language.
exists.
And you're thinking, are you thinking the whole 80? Cause that's.
Well, I'm just saying, if you look at the tree line that's shown on the plan,
Yeah, no,
and then you see the extent of the remaining lot,
okay,
and then as Mr. Roach did, then there's existing trees again from the edge of the lot to the edge of their paddock.
yeah.
Between the two of them, there's probably over 100 feet.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm looking for is to say on your side of the lot, what can we say, what can we put on the plans? That'll stay non-disturbed, trees don't get cut down, we'll get the language going, and I'm looking for something to accommodate.
So I would say
And I'm
75.
saying,
I would say 75 feet would be doable in that particular location, but
Okay.
my concern is if you then go from the tree line to the side lot line of the back lot, there's not 75 feet there, obviously. I can't. Do you want something that will be 75 feet all around? I don't know what you're looking for.
well, I'm looking for something reasonable, something in between. If you don't have 75 feet there, maybe something that's simple. If
Whatever it
60
is.
feet was there.
Maybe about-
Would it
I'm
only
looking
be
at,
on those?
The scalability, I'm using the scale in the lower corner.
Yep.
You're almost dead at 75 feet from the,
yeah,
looking
but-
at
but
the
you
right
want-
side to the property line. And I'm guessing right here to a wooded tree area already, that's 300
Yeah,
and
so,
400
but
feet.
you're gonna wanna have a little bit of space in between the house and the buffer, okay, so if there's 75 feet there, we may not. It wouldn't be reasonable for the board to ask you for a full 75, is what I'm trying to come up with, something in between.
Can I ask a question to
Please,
Mr.
sir.
Roach? Mr. Roach, are you saying that there's 75 feet from the side lot
From the
line?
property line to the house. So,
So to the direct north of the house, if you're looking at the plan?
yes,
I get it.
direct north, yes, sorry.
If that's 75 feet, then I would say we could say 50 feet, 60 feet, guaranteed.
50 feet, okay. I'm feeling, if you're willing to propose
50 feet.
50 feet, okay, that's certainly of a buffer that goes along that entire lot line. Between
44 Grove Street. and
44 Grove and the
back
new
lot.
house and. How
And
much
you
a lot,
add one.
40, much a lot one, in lot
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And lot one, if you're willing to propose that,
Sure.
I think I think that's a good proposal in my work for a buffer.
And we would
Considering what they could do,
So we could put posts and a sign, on the, at that 50-foot mark.
okay, but it would be on the deed, Rachel, do you think we
on a
can get
plan, yeah.
on a plan that
show
goes
it
on the
a
plan?
A no disturb or,
Okay.
buffer
Hey,
area.
Based upon the tree line right here as it is, from lot one going up to the northeast corner. It's 85 feet.
Okay.
Give or take.
Okay,
I guess I
So it's
think that
50 to the, it would have to be based off of the house lot, kind of, and then these proposed trees.
Yeah,
The tree line that's written down here, how we, and I guess it's 80 to. And how far you go over, you increment it over based
So
upon
it-
scaling.
so it looks, I don't think the applicant is going, that doesn't mean that the applicant is gonna clear up to 50 feet. This is just for the next owner, so they're gonna have a delineation to know you can't go any further than this. As I understand it, he's only going to clear what is shown on this plan right now. He's not gonna go any more
Correct.
than that. A plan will be submitted that the board would approve, that would also be recorded at the registry of deeds, and then in any deed that comes on for this back lot would show that there is a 50-foot buffer.
Like a
along-
setback line.
Correct.
No cut
Yes.
tree
Yeah.
line.
Do not
Yes.
disturb line.
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
If that's kind of like where we're at, I understand that it does fluctuate.
Comfortable with
So
that.
it's great if they keep the 80 feet on some of those areas, great, but just the next owner would not be able to go 50 feet, less than the 50 feet from those two lot lines, is how I'm understanding it.
That's how we'll go with that
Okay.
for now. Can I, it's just at least, no, I agree with that. And I'm not sure the rest of the board is all signed off on it, but I think we're
Okay.
going in a direction. I think as a board, so at least three people have their hand up. I'm gonna go with Bill first, then Steve, and then we have a question in the backs, man. And we'll take it that way.
Okay. I'm not a landscape architect or anything. Here's my thought. You have this area where you indicate you have all windows and a great view. Is there anything we can do further away from their house within lot 2 that can reduce the view of the house?
I would say no. I
Okay,
mean, if you looked at the overhead map, it looks, it's all wooded now. I mean, we can't replace the oak trees with pine trees.
Yeah.
So
I'm just asking the question.
I don't think it's physically possible to do anything more.
Okay.
My second comment to the woman in the back sitting down. This town's trying to get away from cul-de-sacs. And that became apparent to the board, but was emphasized recently by our new chief. So we are trying to avoid cul-de-sacs as best we can. And I believe that's why they went with the hammerhead at that location. I would let you know, that's been in place. We're migrating away from it in the past 3 years. I'm done.
Okay.
Steve. So the last thing for Maria and Brad, you had mentioned your concerns about community character and home values. And I wanted to address that since you've got this in writing. And again, I'm going to give you my perspective and I want you to let me know how you feel about this. But with regard to community character and home values, I think I can safely say that probably nobody cares more about that than I do. Whether you're aware or not, a couple of years back, I spent a great deal of time, effort, and even money to get a special town meeting to stop warehouses from going up any further. So I get it. But for me, when I think of, diminished community character and stunted home values, as I drive through town, if I see a big commercial building or industrial building, and I look across the street and I see someone's picture window, that's a red flag. Say if I see the same thing with neighboring, neighborhoods. But when I drive down Grove Street, and even envisioning if this was to happen, I see various homes, different styles on what appears to be decent sized lots, well cared for, some new, some old. For me, I don't see any degradation of community character if another home went up. And for this home, I don't think you'd even see it from the street is what appears to be. And I'm not sure how home values would be affected because, in real estate, when you put a new home up, typically among older homes, if it's a decent home and it's a larger home, that tends to strengthen home values in the area and not diminish them. And just to give you, an example, again, I brought up Lilac Ave on South Main Street. Those homes are about as close together as you can get. And one is for sale for just under $1 million. So again, I bring this up because I want to understand how values and community character can be adversely impacted by the addition of this home.
Yeah, so I'll answer that. So like my wife said earlier, this would pay a premium, and this has a very large appeal for having almost 5 acres. It's not a house on Lilac. It has privacy. It has space where you can have horses like we do. You can, you can do all sorts of stuff that you cannot do at Lilac. So that it's, yeah, having a house behind us impeding our privacy. We go to sell our house. Definitely people are going to come in and say, oh, this one house on this street has people behind it. Well, I guess be 42. These houses have a house behind it. I disagree on the buffer. You're definitely going to be able to see it. No one else on the street has that. In my opinion, far more appealing to not have it, to not have this as you're reselling.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else? Ma'am, I promised you the next to you.
Oh, can I go?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How are you going to guarantee all of this? I think historically with the property owners at 40 Grove Street, they have historically gone against permitting. They've gone against, having it, they have a cease and desist on that property, their own property for a venue facility they were running illegally. They had a shooting range that they were running illegally. How are you going to guarantee that these residents are going to do what they say they're going to do? They have shown it that they have not.
So that's an enforcement issue, right?
Right, and that's the problem, I think, with the town, is enforcing it. All these illegal activities on their property has come down to who they know. And I say that with a little bit of trepidation, but it really is. It's all in who you know. Because they've gotten away with so many things that are illegal. And now how are you going to guarantee this? You say you're going to put in this buffer. You say they're going to do this. I don't believe it, because they've shown that they do not do what they're supposed to do and do it the right way.
Okay. As far as the shooting range, is there anything we can do as a board about language about that lot? Because the applicant has said that they don't intend to be a shooting range. They've said that it becomes a residential house and it's not going to be within a not going to have a shooting range there. Is there any language or anything we would need to do as a board that could help facilitate that? And I'm not sure what that is.
I think, as the board and Rachel start drafting a decision.
Okay.
Reviewing with council and expressing the board's concern as far as, this is a special permit. This is specifically for a large lot vision, and restricting those uses, those that are lawfully able to be done. I think the board's concerns have been noted, and that we can seek town council's guidance to make sure that that's incorporated into a decision.
I would be concerned about any grandfathering if there's a pre-existing something or other. They're looking to give it up.
My understanding is that it's not something that is a commercial activity, that the police department has already taken enforcement actions, and that
Okay.
you'd have to establish a use here that it hasn't been done. It's been a practice, and it's been a individual, and once it became an issue as far as a potential commercial, that's where I know that there were issues that the police department then had and was investigating. So here it's clearly a decision to change that use to a residential use through the subdivision. or the large lot division that's being proposed, with that special permit, and that reinforcing that through the special permit, you know, at least we're not dealing with an A&R law where that might be a little bit more challenging. So,
Okay. All right,
I would just like to point out that people are concerned about the owners of the property and whether they'll follow through. When these get approved, the owners are selling them. They're not going to be owning these lots any longer. So they're not going to be the owners, developers living there.
yeah,
So
and we're
if
approving,
if you have issues with the current owners, then this resolves them.
we're approving the project.
And then
not
in-
necessarily the owners.
In terms
It's
of
not-
whether you can limit uses, I think I'd have to agree with Mr. Layden that, you know, it's in yourself.
Yeah.
Those are enforcement issues. You know, it's implied that you cannot perform unlawful uses on the property.
Okay,
So
all right,
So
so,
get back to one thing.
okay,
What about the lead? What,
again,
just educate us.
as far as I'm, you know, as we've noted, where the gun range is currently located is not in the wetlands. So the statements made during these meetings that they're polluting the wetland, we'd say that there's no real evidence to that effect. At Bellingham, there's been shooting and hunting and everything all over this town forever and ever and ever. I mean, there's probably, you know, hundreds of thousands of millions of bullets all over the place.
Not
You know,
in one
do
place.
they have an effect? I don't know. You know, that's gonna be potentially something that, you know, when they go to build on lot 3, which has wetlands, that will maybe have to be addressed. That's gonna have to obviously go before the Conservation Commission. But we're not talking about lot 3 and.
No, I understand.
okay,
So he's talking about what's in front of us right now.
Yep,
okay.
You showed us where the current shooting range is.
yeah.
So
I'm just concerned with the lead that's there.
let me ask, is there any concerns that have not come up tonight from the audience? Is there any additional ones, new ones you haven't addressed?
Yeah.
Okay,
I have two.
last,
One
thank
is
you.
that there's a road that, like, there's gravel, like it's a full road, it's not like a cart path. So I would like to see that something is done with that before construction starts, because I know that if construction were to start, when that road exists, they would, and some of that road goes on our property. So I would like that all gets dug up, at least the portion like that we own and a little bit before that, so that there's no, because we've definitely had where different commercial vehicles use that road, and talk about privacy and impeding our having commercial vehicles driving on our property. Like, we spend a lot of money to put a gravel driveway into our barn, and so then, you know, the more people that use it, more wear and tear that gets. And then second off, I would like the property line between 40 Grove Street and 44 Grove Street flagged, like every, I don't know, 6 feet, 10 feet. Like, there's no markers that show where they own and where we own, and just kind of even just a little bit of flagging to just say, like, this is where lot 1 would end. Like, it doesn't need to go the whole property line, but just, it's hard for us, like, sure, we can look at this plan, but since it doesn't show like the road that exists, it doesn't, it's hard to understand where we're talking about. And so when you keep asking us, what's the privacy, what's the trees situation, being able to fully like stand there and see the property line and stand on it would really help us understand that.
Okay, are there any other concerns in the room on this project? Okay. All right, so I guess where we're at is that I think we've looked at this one quite a bit. I think there's some work that the town staff can do with the applicant as far as putting in language that I think we've talked through today. And then also to see what we can do with, referring with town council as far as what conditions can be put into this decision so that we can make a decision as such. I think that, it's a balancing act between, you know, what uses they're proposing, and they get to propose uses that are according to the bylaw. They're not allowed to go past that, but they, you know, that's the criteria we have to use, but we do look out for the neighbors. And the applicant has agreed to put a buffer in there, which is stepping up to what, you know, what another position they could have taken. So I do think the applicant is trying to work with us on some of this, and there's some language that needs to be clarified. And there's still a long way to go on this, but I think we've got a path that we can take a vote at some point. What type of time frame, Rachel, and this might be early for you, but typically we would want to, probably not next meeting might be tight, but maybe the meeting after that to get that to work with the applicant as far as some language for things that we agreed upon today, and to come in with a proposal. And typically we do a denial and an approval. But I think there's quite a few things that could go into an approval that would certainly help the situation. So that, you know, we're protecting the neighbors as best we can with the bylaws we have. And some of the additional things that we've heard, that we've discussed tonight. Next meeting's gonna be, we've already got a big agenda now.
Yeah, 3 things on that one.
Yeah, so the one after that,
June 11th, you only have items.
is that a reasonable time to get that activity done between you guys?
Well, is it safe to make the assumption that what you're looking to have is some legal language about the no cut, don't disturb line, and have it shown on a plan?
Yep.
Along with the gun range
Get
removal?
rid of the gun range removal, and if there's some language that, you know, you've agreed that this would not be a gun range in the future on this lot. Which, again, if town council can give us some language or something along those lines, that would alleviate some of the angst from the neighbors. That would not be offensive to you guys. Then maybe there's some language that we can work on to do that. And I guess, am I missing anything, board?
Yeah, I disagree with the applicant's attorney said
Okay,
about contained on this form. I think what we need to do is have an outline in conditions in the decision.
you know what's another topic that. This board. We have a town election coming up. And I think we probably would need to, maybe we need to react sooner than later on this. If we could have that, if the applicant would like to work faster than slower.
The deed language and the revised plan can be turned around very quickly.
Okay,
I mean, if you're gonna wait to hear from something from town council, I don't know how quickly town council reacts.
we can work on that, and I see the owner raising his hand, and I wouldn't mind you speaking, sir.
Hi, John McCarthy, homeowner. So a couple of things.
Yep.
One is we're okay with the language changes tonight, no problem with any of that.
Okay.
And if it helps, I have a 2-page letter from town council explaining why the gun range is legal and appropriate. That would help move things along.
Well, sir, it sounds like the discussion we're having is that that you'd be giving up the gun range.
I would, yeah.
And we'd like to see what the language could be incorporated into the deed after you, and I'm hearing from your attorney that your plan is to give up that lot to somebody else. And that after that was given up, that the gun range wouldn't be there, is what we're trying to. If that's something that you'd be willing to do, sir, with your attorney, fine with it.
I mean,
Well, I'm sorry, what?
I think you might be getting into like constitutional issues there. I mean,
Okay, well, that's why town council and yourself would get.
Hold on,
But let me
you've already said it's not gonna be there.
I said the applicant is doing away with it, and he's
Yes.
selling the
And
lawn.
we're trying to come up with some
And-
language to go along.
I don't know what the next owners are going to do. We can, I mean, I don't know if you can put a restriction of that nature. It's implied, it's explicit actually, that nothing
Okay.
unlawful can be done on the property.
And we're just looking
I mean,
we're looking to do something that we can all agree upon that is and sir, I'm seeing you nod your head that you're willing to talk to your attorney and work with the attorney and town council. We can't do anything that would be overly, we can't infringe on some of the legal rights that we have in this country, but on the lot that's a special permit, there's maybe some language we can come up with town council.
Yeah, and also just procedurally, just so that I have the math correct. So you've been here since this application has been advertised and posted.
Correct.
So, and you've been here for every hearing.
Correct.
And this is only the second one, so, I recall you being at the other. So there's 4 of you that can act. It's just that,
Okay.
you just won't have the supermajority, so it has to be all 4. If you had a 3-to-1 failure, and then you'd have to re-advertise.
Didn't Mullen, right, Liz is not, right?
Liz isn't
Right.
running, so.
Right, I know.
Liz is not
I
running
knew
again.
that
Bill's
Mr.
not.
O'Connell wasn't gonna be here, but I didn't know about this.
Yeah, so that's so. So if you'd like to work faster or slower, what do you suggest?
The main issue is within 2 weeks, especially with staff also preparing for town meeting. There's a lot of coordination that's happening in 2 weeks to have a draft decision to then wrap everything up. Is it possible? Yeah, but if there's any issues that you have to work through, you're then out of time.
Okay, I kind of agree with that, so.
Well, one of my procedural questions, because every town's a little bit different. Does the board have any issue or have any problems with, contact by myself directly with town council, or does that have to be authorized?
Has to be authorized.
Yeah, it has to be
Alright.
authorized with probably,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
just wanted to know.
Gentlemen,
That's why I asked.
thank you for asking a procedural question.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I think based on the availability of who can vote in June and the time frame, I think pushing this off to the meeting on the 11th may be appropriate.
okay. And I think that we've heard that suggestion. Do any of the board members have any other topics? Okay. Then I think what I would do is ask the applicant if you're willing to move to June 11th is the next meeting, Mitchell? Is it the 11th?
Yeah, the one after that.
And
Does
just,
the
With
board,
the idea that we'd be writing up a positive and we also do
Okay.
a negative determination. But, because we're not taking a vote today,
yeah,
but I would be very, I would like to see those things in writing before making a final decision.
understood.
But I'm hearing the applicants working with us.
in previous communities, the board would direct staff to draft a decision in the affirmative. It's just a draft, you're not making a decision until that night,
Okay.
but that way you get to see what they are, and it's a draft, and so those items can change, the night of. too.
Okay.
If you're saying, you know what, this condition, I'm still not comfortable with it, we
Then
can change that, and it can change to that,
We don't vote positively on it. Okay.
correct,
Um,
and it's just a draft.
I'm okay with that. If feeling the rest of the board, I'd like to feel the rest of the board out on that. Marty, would you be okay with I mean, I don't want to put it in a vote yet, but would you be?
Yeah,
okay with
By
asking Rachel
drafting, yeah,
to do a
drafting
draft?
with conditions
Okay.
that have to be still reviewed.
We're still gonna
at the next
agree to
meeting.
these conditions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
obviously, there's a few other adjustments on the drawings that need to be made,
Yeah.
based on our meeting
You're
tonight.
okay with that? Bill, you're gonna be okay with that? You'll probably be okay with that, right?
It could be.
Good to hear.
With white
You never know. No, but are you okay with this tonight?
Steve, you okay with that? Liz, I think you're gonna be okay with that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
If I could just clarification, I
Yeah.
think we talked about it, but so for the June 11th meeting, what we'd be having for a board to vote would be Mr. Goyette, yourself, Mr. Roach, and Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
Correct.
And with it being a special permit, we need a four vote. And you may have another person here that, actually, there's been 2 meetings already, so you wouldn't be able to get the Mullins rule.
That's
That's the problem.
That's my concern.
But you've got some indications as far as what some thoughts are.
You can continue, and then if you decide to re-advertise, you could just, we can handle that.
Before we move forward with it, one last question, ma'am,
I just have a comment.
please.
The letter of reference from town council by the resident, that letter should be null and void because a business was running. He was running a business for this shooting range. It wasn't just his buddies from his ministry. He was
Okay,
running,
so
but what I'm saying is reference that. That letter should not be put on anything here because it was found to be an illegal gun range. And he was taking money from a
Okay.
lieutenant in.
So let's stop, we're gonna stop
Like, I'm
there.
just saying
because
it,
it's
like,
not
it was
part of
illegal.
the record right now.
Like,
It's not really
It wasn't.
Yeah, and at this point, I think we're trying to.
Yeah, I know we're talking
move
about.
forward in a
Yes.
positive way from where we were. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to continue
Yeah,
to June 11th.
right.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Steve, and Marty will start the vote with you.
Marty, I.
Probably.
Bill, aye.
Yes.
Liz?
Liz, I.
Okay, so that'll pass 5-0. And
June 11th.
June 11th, please work with staff, and I would love to see something that, that town staff would fully endorse. I'll say it that way.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll be in touch with,
town staff and
Right
town
away.
staff. Yes,
absolutely.
it's town staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
Bingo for that.
All right, okay, so going back down the list here. Why don't we go, the next one's gonna be, Lakeview Estates and the continued public hearing for street acceptance. Yep. And we need a motion to open it up? Made by, Steve, seconded by Bill.
Road.
Steve, Bill, I,
Marty, I.
Liz?
Liz, I.
Okay, so we're now open, and who's got the floor tonight? Do we have anybody representing the, last time we had an attorney from Fafford?
They were supposed to be here. I spoke to them. Of course, there are no shows.
Okay, so at this point, I would turn it over to Joe. Town manager.
Okay. So again, for the record, Joe Lane, Town Administrator. So, since we last met, we had a number of, meetings with staff, with legal counsel, and, the board, and some of the residents may, or may not be aware. We've also, been utilizing the board's peer consultant, TEC, to assist in evaluating the proposal that had been submitted by South Coast or South Coast Realty, as well as or South Central Realty, as well as Fafford, in modifying the drainage pipe that goes under the street that had been the contentions for the last couple of years. TEC, in evaluating their proposal and looking on the ground, had questions as far as what was installed for infrastructure. He compared it against the as-built plan that was submitted by the developer and found discrepancies. These discrepancies were also reviewed by a DPW director, and the board should have 2 letters, one from Jesse Rydell, the DPW director, as well as one from TEC, basically stating that they had observed a number of discrepancies, and TEC's letter was 3 pages long. Where on the ground observations did not reflect not only maybe some things that were captured on the as-built plans, but things that were on the ground that weren't even captured by the as-built plan. So we reviewed all these findings with legal counsel at the beginning of the week in order to get this roadmap that we identified we needed for tonight's planning board meeting. And conclusion was that because to accept a street, we have to determine that the infrastructure is actually complete. And when we accept the street, we take on responsibility for all the maintenance. If we don't have an as-built plan that correctly identifies what's in the ground, or if there is an issue, if what's on the as-built plan is incorrect, then we're exposing the town and taxpayers to a situation where it could be very costly. And then we're going to town meeting in order to get funding to repair subdivisions. So it was the recommendation of our peer review, and this is what also was captured by the DPW director, that we request from Fafford a replenishment of 53G funds so that we can have a stamped engineer with a stamp evaluate and identify what those discrepancies are so that a revised as-built plan can be submitted. So we actually can make a positive determination that the infrastructure is able to be deemed acceptable to the town so that we can go forward with a favorable town meeting recommendation. So I notified Fafford of that conclusion by our peer review engineer as well as our DPW director. She's going to be reviewing those letters, and we're going to schedule a future meeting with her engineers after they've reviewed it so that we can discuss next steps. But at this point, we have documented evidence that what is in the ground doesn't match those as-built, and that just raises too many questions that we really need to get figured out. So that's where things stand right now.
Okay, so is there, do you have a recommendation as far as the action to take tonight? Typically on these street acceptances, when we go to town meeting, it would be to recommend approval, to not recommend approval, or pass over, I guess is what the town council would it be. I would not feel comfortable at this point recommending a town meeting with this project. Is it better to take no action, or is it better to accept a motion to basically not recommend?
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Joe, can we combine the two?
Yeah.
Then I would think, and I want to hear from the public as well. Our motion would be not to move this forward to the town meeting. And then be passed over until the November town meeting. I want it in writing that we're saying no.
Is that saying no, or is that saying pass over?
And I think what the board would be saying is that they'd recommend town meeting pass over the article because they cannot make a favorable recommendation to accept this for the.
That's much better than I said.
Yeah, one of the main things, and this is not something that we come to lightly at all. We know the history of the project. We've been approached by residents within the development. Like, please, we need this road accepted. Yeah, and it's something that I relayed in a one-on-one meeting with Angela, that this is the goal. We want this resolved, but we need the next couple of months to resolve that. The fact that TEC was able to identify catch basins that are in the ground but not on the plans. We don't know where they go to. We have inlets and outlets that don't match the elevations on the plan compared to what's on the ground. We need to give also residents who would be footing the bill for any repairs the ability to know, like, we've reviewed this and we have a level of confidence. There's still, it's gonna be a busy 3 months for us to resolve these issues before the select board opens the warrant for the fall. You know, but that's the goal that staff is setting, to resolve these. And we need Fafford's participation through replenishing that 53G account to let that happen. They're sitting on, what was it, 220 about $1,000 of security that has not been released. You know, there's some financial motivation for that. But if the question,
what they got for the bond?
it's a rough estimate because it's in different parts.
And what are we asking again for how much to fund?
You're probably talking about 15 to 20 to fund the 53G to cover. And basically what you're doing is you're having the engineers go out, walk the whole development, all the public infrastructure to resolve.
So
the other thing
there is
is that
leverage on it. Then.
The other thing is that we are aware of the public relations campaign that they're making, because they're sending letters to residents identifying that the town's concerns are unfounded and basically telling people to show up to town meeting. Yeah, the challenge is that if on town meeting floor.
Are you the whole street? Sir, if we could, I'd like to hear, only because I think you might want to hear it too, sir. Because there's words of wisdom here.
Because if someone on town meeting floor asks the question of the DPW director, do you approve accepting it in its current condition? And the DPW director says no, because we don't have confidence what's in the ground. Town meeting, it's not gonna pass town meeting. And ultimately, that's what we want to make sure gets done, is we want to make sure we know exactly what we're accepting, that we're able to verify it. And you know, all of us are, I think, really empathetic as far as what the residents are dealing with, because we have been approached one-on-one with how does this get fixed. This is what we're trying to do and hold them to a standard of that. We want to work with them to make sure that for the residents, it gets resolved. At the same time, not exposing the greater town residents as a whole to a potential very costly fix if something goes wrong.
So can I just ask real quick?
Yeah.
If they're sending out letters, stating that concerns are unfounded, then how willing are they actually to resolve this?
That's a really
Sorry.
good point.
So that was my question about the leverage with the bond.
Yeah.
And how much bond is 200.
The main thing is that with the bond, and we have an as-built and an engineer stamp identifies this is not done correctly, it's not according to plan, not on the as-built. That also gives us the rationale, should it be needed, to call the bond if they're not willing to fix it. Right now, we don't have documentation to take that action. And that's what we're looking at pulling together.
I got a bunch of questions. Bill?
I've been approached by some neighbors just in meetings of town. The letter they sent out was very disingenuous. And it was kind of rich, I guess it's the new term. And I want the residents to know the actions we're taking tonight and passing over, we're looking out for your interest as quickly as possible. We have a game plan in place. And I think this is, we've done a lot in the past 2 weeks that hasn't been done before. And we're trying as best we can to meet your needs and the needs of the town. And I think this is a pretty good plan. And I think, you know, I've heard from a lot of you, we're getting there. I don't want it to be misinterpreted. that we don't care. We care greatly.
Sir, I think you had your hand up. If you could identify your name.
Yeah, it's Jeremy Brotman, 1 Candlelight Lane. So with all due respect, I hear that you're saying like there's things that were not on the as-built that are there today. But from a town, I'm not a civil engineer, I don't know all inspections, but how does that make it past the town as they're developing that area? Because if there's something's on the plan and inspections need to happen throughout the entire process, how does something like this get bypassed? Just help me understand that from that perspective.
So this project did not go through this board up till now. It was part of the 40B.
Okay.
Through the state. So it's a different process. There wasn't the ability to put phasing in. If you look at Harmony, for example, Harmony, this was originally owned by the same owner. This board put phasing in on the other project because we had the ability to do certain things to try to protect it. But because of the 40B inclusionary, piece of it, that we didn't have that ability to.
So all inspections get bypassed due to 40B.
Not all.
So, but why did this in particular, that something so important that now that could cost the town money, plus us neighbors money, be something that can get bypassed? I don't understand that. Because if it's that important to it, I just don't get why that's bypassed. I think that's something that needs to be heavily looked at with 40B. Secondly, is like, what are we doing? You talk about like enforcement, you mentioned that, right? How are we holding them accountable to get this actually done? I know we talked about the $220,000. So does that mean you're taking that money away from them? Or what does that mean?
So very often, and this also happens in 40Bs because very often in the issuance of the comprehensive permit, the zoning board will require that the developer funds a 53G account. When we say 53G, it's just referencing state law that allows for boards to retain independent consultants to do inspections. I'm very sensitive to the question that you raised because it's extremely legitimate as far as how do we get to this point 12 years later where an engineer goes out and identifies that the plans are missing catch basins, 3 catch basins, 2 manholes, that sewer line isn't shown on a plan. I don't have those answers because many of these things were done over a period of time where staff is in and out. You have one person that could have been working for DPW and they left to go to a different community. It's getting picked up by someone else. These are some of the things that, we've had discussions with the board that we want to make some changes to our processes to allow for independent peer review of not just like we do for the planned development, but also during construction to make sure that there's one, the town and its town employees aren't being looked at for dropping the ball. We have a lot of things going on and sometimes things happen, and that's clearly in this case. So we want to look at how can we improve inspections to make sure that there's confidence, one on the town side, but then also on the resident side that these things are being looked at. So, I wish I had answers to be able to say this exactly happened, but, the items that were identified by TEC are significant enough that it just raises other questions because this is a very large development.
Okay, I'm just your comment. Several years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, a detention pond blew up. And you had flooding down on,
Silver Lake.
you recall that?
Oh, I live right there. I've been there the longest.
Okay.
Dealt with this for the longest.
I might have been at your house.
Probably not, but I live above the hill. They're down
I
below.
was down the hill talking to those people. And we made them put in a second detention. At that point, we were looking out for you as best we could at that point. we had no idea until tonight, the severity of what is happening on why this road can't be accepted.
You can hear, you can understand, I know you have a question.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
You can understand, like, that's kind of just, like, it's kind of disheartening, right? No offense to you, but you gotta understand, like, I don't care that there's turnover. That's not my problem. That's a town processy problem. That needs to be corrected and needs to be corrected ASAP. I don't care there's turnover. Let me just make that clear.
Okay,
If there's turnover, fix it, fix the process. Because of turnover, 11 years later, we're dealing with this. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear how you're gonna get it fixed. I want to hear how you're gonna hold them accountable. And then I want to have a beer at the end of this and just move on. Because it's been too long. Sorry, go ahead. I know you have questions. I digress. I'm done.
Well, I gotta wait for my cue.
Sir, if you could identify yourself. Stand up and.
Alan DeAngelis, 23 Candlelight Lane. My question. I'm afraid of the answer. You're telling me that the engineer TEC found additional violations besides the pipe that's under the road? Is that what you're saying? That they found additional? Because this all started, there was one pipe under the road that wasn't supposed to be there. Now you're saying they found other issues in addition?
Yeah, so just so that we don't have to call the ambulance service for helping you. As everyone knows, this when they started construction, this whole pipe came out when they were putting in a sewer line, and they were trying to dewater. And then the contractors never took that out. That is the solution. That's the problem that we were trying to
Right, that's what
resolve.
all of this was all about. Up until-
And that's why I engaged the services of TEC to
Right.
help
Because we talked about it, right?
identify, like, this just doesn't make sense. And I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to give you a perspective of, my own experience, coming in, now been here 7 months. Rachel has been here 3 weeks, as she said. Majority of my career had been as a town planner, community development. I want to be able to, if there's going to be issues, I want to be able to have a solution that an engineer can sign off and say, yes, this is correct. We need to do X, Y, and Z. When they brought in this plan to say, we're going to cap this drainage line, and then, we're going to build a couple dry basins to then allow water to then utilize, it's like that, we need an engineer to take a look at it.
And that's what the last conversation we had, right?
And when the engineer went out, the first thing he needs to know, well, what's in the vicinity? There's drainage structures in the vicinity. He's looking at the as-built plans. He's looking at the ground and just saying, this isn't matching.
Right, so.
And so the problem ends up being, because within that vicinity, and it's just that corner, but it is going down to that open space. And then, as Mr. Wilson knows, we were in not his backyard, but his neighbor's backyard. We're looking at this infrastructure, trying to figure out, okay, how do we solve this? But when some of these little things are popping up as far as, this doesn't match, or this is here in the ground, but not on the plan, or it says it's a 6-inch, but it's an 8-inch. That's where we're at the point where we need to make sure that we inspect throughout the whole development.
Right.
To make sure that for residents as well as for the town to accept this and know that they're not dealing with problems, we just need the engineer to do it. And, just to get to your point earlier, as far as what are we doing to correct the issue, because the mistakes in the past, are really unfortunate for not only residents to hear, but also myself as town administrator. But I'm trying to identify the path forward and identify what will not have this happen so that we can have a clear path forward.
And that was part, the second part of my
acceptance.
question.
And the problem is that, people say, look, we have problems there, just call the bond. We cannot legally just call a bond. We have to be able to pull together information that supports why the bond needs to be accessed, and we need a laundry list. You didn't do this, you didn't do this, this is incorrect. If there are things that were called for on the plan, that then they don't want to fix, that's when we call the bond to make those repairs. But that's going down and it's really taking a worst case scenario, because a lot of these things are probably more corrections for the as-built, just verifying elevations, so that we have confidence in what is then on the ground.
So, my questions. I think I heard a yes, that this is additional stuff that was identified besides the pipe under the road.
It's inconsistencies.
That were just, right, in other words, they weren't identified like a month ago when we talked, they weren't known, they're new, all right. So that means now the scope of resolution has grown. Instead of just dealing with one pipe, now they gotta deal with a few other things too. Okay, is that a correct statement?
That is
Yes,
correct.
all right. So now the next question is, how much work is it gonna require? And will it impact? How do I say it? Will they be able to fix all of that stuff so we can get on the warrant for the fall?
So.
Or is this like a major thing? I don't understand all, that's why I'm asking the simple question. Is it something major that cannot be fixed by May, or, I mean, by November? Or is it something that can be fixed by November?
So I want to preface that based on what TC has identified now, most of these are corrections to the as-built or additions on the as-built to correlate with what's on the ground. And it basically is just proper documentation and certification that the as-built is accurate. So that does not mean there couldn't be something that pops up that's significant. Right now, that is not what TC is saying. They're saying that these are inconsistent.
Okay.
Go from to say that, for example, indicates a 6-inch, that the label indicates 6-inch, as-built says it's at 8-inch. Some of those things are really minor, and realistically don't require reconstructing.
All right,
or those types.
okay, so the scope of the effort is still somewhat the same. The pipe under the road and all of that baloney is still the issue. These other little things are nuisances, so to speak, in comparison.
We still need to, they're still proposing to cap the drain line and to basically make it non-functioning. So that the water that was originally staying in that sewer trench in the gravel bed stays there, rather than what was supposed to be, as they say, a temporary dewatering of that trench. The other issues get to the larger issue of the board and also DPW being able to say that they have reviewed the construction, they have reviewed the as-built, that they can support favorably acceptance by town meeting. That's where these things have more of that impact.
Okay, so now, if Fafford maintains their current position of not wanting to do a single thing to fix it, except something that costs them pennies and doesn't work, this is gonna, and somebody even mentioned, I think at the last meeting, this is gonna go on forever. This is the way they behaving, the way they have been behaving. You've been here longer than me. This could go on forever. So I am respectfully requesting that you guys, the board, the town, whatever, you gotta help us out. We're getting creamed. And now it's sounding like they screwed things up even worse than we thought they screwed things up. And I'm not happy. He's been here twice as long as me. I don't know what the solution is, and I know you don't know what the solution
They
is.
have to know the solution.
But you gotta figure something out that works.
So I agree with you. I agree that we need to work on a process that moves us forward from where we are. Now, I think what I'd like to do is follow Mr. Layton's earlier statements, okay? I don't think this board, I personally cannot recommend approval.
For May.
For May.
Right,
What
I agree.
Okay, what I'd like to do is have the town staff continue the process
Right.
going down.
Thank you.
We're trying to work with Fafford,
Yeah.
we've got the engineers engaging in peer review and try to resolve.
But that's my whole question. What do you do if Fafford just keeps saying no?
It's not about what you do. I guess my point, like, what do we?
Right? That's what happens.
Can we understand what this process is? Because that's where the disconnect is. What is this said process? Because I hear this a lot. What is the process and what are the deadlines? Why can't we put dates in front of them saying you need to have this done by this done by that? And then if they don't follow that, then that gives us the evidence to go get the bond. Why are we putting dates in front of them? And if they bypass it,
It's not just dates, as Joe said. It's documentation.
forget
But
documentation.
that's what he's working on right now with him and Jesse. Town staff has been working towards that documentation. So then we could say, all right, you're not fixing it, we're gonna revoke the bond. That's the process, but there are steps along the way. Nobody knew until we got this EEC report how many different variations on the as-built. That has to be corrected along with the capping. How is that water then going to be? Well, we had TEC go out to see if their plan, Bafford's plan that he presented last meeting, does that meet the town's requirements to get rid of the drainage?
I get that, but what's the date to get the as-built by? Like, why
Well,
aren't we
that,
giving
we
them
just asked for the funding. That's what Joe, you gotta listen to the details, and I don't. No, that's what I'm saying. I get it, I mean, they're requesting the funding. Now we have to give Fafford some time to agree to it.
What's the time?
I don't know.
That's what I'm asking. I'm a timeline guy, because if we have timelines, that helps, right?
That's how I made my living.
This, same, we all do. We have dates. We live by dates.
Yeah, and that's where I totally appreciate, wanting the dates. Where things were left today was that, these letters are being sent to the engineers for them to review. I asked Angela, as far as once you hear, I want to be able to set up a meeting. Because the first thing is going to be finding out the receptiveness that they are to addressing these things. I commented that town council has been involved all along the way. And this is where these steps that we're taking, this documentation is with the support of council, because we need that if we're gonna take any further action that involves legal action against them. We have to be able to document it.
Can I help with
provide
documentation?
that.
Because they called me randomly Friday
Yeah.
and tried to give me this BS update, and they discredited the person that came in as the third party. And I actually called Larry out for it. I go, who are you to understand who the credentials are? When you can't even get out here and do the landscaping that you've been telling me for 3 months.
Yeah.
So like, how can we help? Because literally they call me all the time to try and lie to me, and I don't want to deal with them anymore.
And I think one of the whole challenges is that they're utilizing the homeowners association. And it's something that we recognize, and I'll be preparing a letter to sort of go to the homeowners association as well, just explaining. Because there's, you all here, but there's a much larger set of residents there that in some ways probably just gave up. Like,
I'm done.
they don't know
after
where they are, so.
I'm done after
And I
today,
think that's really important for us as town officials to relay that. And also to impress upon them that this is something that town staff is focused on resolving. But if we think of worst case scenarios, that's following the court avenue. And if that's what we need to do, then that's what we need to do. And that's where I'd love to be able to say a timeline, but because it depends on the participation of Fafford and their engineer, I could say we could have this wrapped up. They give us a check in 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks later, we have a full set of changes that need to be done to the as-built plan, and then that gets done, and then we're all set in a month from now. If they stonewall and basically say, no, we disagree, we're not gonna fund any of the money, we're just gonna be obstinate, then that follows the legal course that then I don't know what the timeline is.
But they've been not agreeing. We've literally been through this. Like,
No.
you're saying if they don't, that it's not a matter of if they
When.
are. That's the problem.
That's their MO.
Yeah, like that's why I not to, it's just the same.
Which
thing
was
we
where
ran
my
over.
question was going, what can we do? Like, what really can we do? You say, oh, you gotta get the documentation for the surety and et cetera, but they ain't gonna respond to anything. They just keep saying no. And what can you do about it? So that's my frustration.
Yeah.
And as Jeremy said, what can we do to help you guys? Because I believe that you, the planning board and the town, really do want to resolve this. I don't have any doubt about that. My doubt is that Fafford will allow you to fix this. That's what it comes down to. So
And
it just
quite-
sounds like
yeah,
we're never
quite-
gonna.
Quite honestly, and you know, I think Rachel and I both had projects that went this way. If a developer at the end of the day is like just throwing their hands up and said, no, I'm done. Then that's where it's something that's negotiated. And you know, that's why we're relying on town council to guide us, you know, with the bond that is there. But has not, there are towns that have hit a stone wall and they end up accepting the street and recognizing that at some point in the future, residents are gonna have to pay for improvements. You know, if we get to a situation where we're negotiating, having money that's put into an improvement account, great. Right now, there's a lot of different things that could happen. I wouldn't wanna sort of give any sort of thoughts as far as what is the most likely outcome, because I'm focused on making sure that we can get the 53G funds, we can engage the engineer, identify exactly what's in the ground, and then go forward for town meeting for acceptance, and making sure that the removal of the pipe underneath the street does not have any unanticipated consequences, because it's been there for 15 years.
Just ask one thing. I won't talk too much. As far as the engineer, I don't know if anyone can do any legwork. As far as, the engineer that started before was Benchmark. Benchmark was in the beginning of this process. And they happened to, I'm just wondering if they went belly up and did like a Fafford type thing and reinvented themselves as a new company, because it's in the same place, in the same building on the second floor as their as their offices are. 120 Quarry Street, second floor. So it was Benchmark and now it's Gurry and Calnan, and I just wonder if that was just because you say about, and I'll stop, that you say about grades and all that stuff. You may not be talking about what I'm talking about, but those numbers that this person, their engineer, I've been complaining for 5 years that this water and it's coming and it's 4 houses lying low. And all these numbers they supposedly get, they're just bogus numbers. I'll stop talking. I appreciate everything everyone's doing.
Comment? And if you could identify yourself for the record, sir.
Pete D'Amico, I live at 38 Candlelight Lane.
I know his frustration because I've driven by his house with stuff. It just seems that it keeps lagging on and on and on. And yes, Pfeiffer's been around, but nothing seems to be done. And like I said, I've been here, I moved in 10 years ago, but my house was in process being built. So if you talk about the delays there, I've been here 11 years too. It's just totally frustrating. I mean, as far as the association, they're another bunch of who knows what going on, because the association was formed by Fafford, if I recall correctly.
One more question. Who knows the answer to this? So who owns that land that you're talking about, Vice Chair Phil? That leaks down to Silver Lake? That open land there? Who owns that? Does anyone know who owns that? Because I'm hearing that Fafford sold it to the new development, but then I'm hearing that Fafford still owns it. Who owns that land?
So that was 5 years ago.
I know. I'm just asking because like we're paying all this money for this affinity HOA stuff that they don't do, but like I'm hearing, I don't know who owns that land.
Do you know what parcel we're talking about?
I actually don't, I'd have to look at the.
So,
plan.
very simple, Candlelight Lane comes up from Silver Lake.
Yes.
Correct? So, as you're coming up the hill, you're passing a whole piece of land there.
That's open.
And then, right, it's open land, and then you turn the bend, go by his house, and you start going down
Right
Candlelight.
there. You see it
That's
right there.
all behind Candlelight
Right there.
Lane going down.
See that? No. You see this ballpark right here? This ballpark lot? Right there? Who owns this land right here?
This one?
Yes. Who owns that?
LLC,
Who is that?
997 Millbury Street, Worcester, Mass.
So who is that?
Just, I'm going by the
Right.
Mass Interactive property lines.
Because we're getting mixed, who owns that?
So it's not, but it's not owned by Fafford, is what you just said, right?
It says Fargon LLC.
Okay.
I have no idea who Fargon LLC is.
All right, so maybe they did sell it to because I know they own the land on 126 Lilac that you guys are speaking of. They sold that land to a new developer. So is that? I wonder if that's Fargon that built that land there that now owns that. Because I'm so confused on who owns that too.
All I can tell you, sir, is when that happened, it gave out. We got the state to come in. We had several meetings. And a new detention pond was put in by Fafford.
Right.
So, at that point, it was the middle of winter, it was freezing. We wanted that done as quickly as possible for the benefit of the residents and the people at the bottom.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, so, but we just, like you said, we keep getting mixed messages about who actually owns that strip of land behind Candlelight Lane on the Silver Lake side. Because, again, if it belongs to the Open Space Trust, then we have to maintain it. If it doesn't, then we don't. And that's one of the things with the HOA, they never give us a straight answer.
Can I just add one thing? I know you people are frustrated, it's been a long time. We've made a lot of headway since the last meeting.
Absolutely.
I'm not asking you to love us. But
I love you guys.
appreciate what we are trying to push this as quick as we can.
And I know that.
And yes, we're dealing with Fafford. And we mentioned Harmony. We put so many conditions in Harmony. We didn't think he'd accept, and he did. And what we learned from what happened, we corrected in Harmony. It was a 40B. Our hands were tied until it came for the acceptance of the street. And then, the letter went out and, it became a bonfire and got attention of a lot of people.
Yeah, no, and I've been working with Joe and Rob before that, and I've been here. Like I said, I think the town is really trying to do good, and I read a couple of phrases in the letter from Angela, and I was like, whoa, this is not true. And I know you guys are working, and like I said, I just wanna understand where we're at, and it seems like we are caught between a rock and a few hard places. So thank you, and thanks for listening.
Just a quick comment to everybody. I know you guys have mentioned the HOA. I live in an association myself. And I'm just giving you my personal opinion, not as someone on the board. You have rules and you have a master deed, you have bylaws. You have absolute rights that you, as an association and owners, need to get together, look at those documents to.
Right.
There should be annual meetings and such of that, and going over budgets, and it should be within those bylaws and the master deed that are on file. Again, I would suggest.
We get to that those meetings because they're such, yes.
But-
And we don't even have a board because they won't let us form a board.
Right.
That's another problem for another day.
So thank you, because that's valuable insight. And that's exactly what we're talking about now. Jeremy and I had a little quick conversation.
Today I'm watching.
Exactly this, that we need to find out what the rules are and what we can do as beneficiaries of the trust
Yes.
that, to make things happen. But that's on the, what do you call it? I guess on the management side. This is all regarding the construction and that part of it, so, you know, that's obviously, you guys can't affect the other piece, right? The HOA piece, that's.
You're right, that
Oh.
residents, the HOH piece is something that the residents should be able to exert pressure as far as formulating some sort of change. Because they've had basically their appointed person as far as in charge of the HOA. Probably much longer than the master documents ever should have allowed it.
Right, and I was reading it last
Typically,
night.
once you hit like 70%, then that's when it's supposed to be a.
We can't enforce that. We have to basically do a class action lawsuit or something because we can't enforce it. They won't let us get it form a board. And
Yeah.
now we're dealing with them still because of the town, and it's just like a double whammy.
But
It's-
this was
it's-
very enlightening
Thank
because now I know what to do. Jeremy, hold on one second, I'm gonna go. Thank you all, I appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care, everybody.
I'm gonna leave everyone. Thank you. I appreciate everyone's time and all the work you're putting in. I know it's not easy. Long hours. But everyone take care, be safe.
Thank you.
Oh,
All right, so we gotta take a vote based upon the recommendation Joe made. Joe, would you like to rephrase your recommendation that you made earlier? So that we have it for the.
I think I wrote it down.
You wrote it
Yeah.
Rachel,
I believe somebody entertained or said a motion to pass over the article because they cannot make a favorable recommendation to accept the street at town meeting.
Okay.
That's how I typed it down.
Do we have a
Second.
so moved? So moved. Okay.
I thought Bill read.
Yeah, that's who I. wrote it.
Bill made, second by,
But
Marty.
thank you for including me.
Thank you for documenting.
Yes, I'm glad you can type that quick. I have some notes, but it wasn't that detailed.
All right, so Marty vote?
Marty, I.
Bill, I.
Bill, I. Liz?
Liz, I.
Okay, so that passes 5-0.
so no town meeting for this.
We're gonna we're gonna make the recommendation, but we don't, it'd be up to the select board whether to pass over or not, but we're making the recommendation.
Okay, so I'll still go to town meeting anyway.
You should always.
You should always go to town meeting.
You should always go to town meeting.
I know, I realize, and I gotta do, I have to do a write-in for, I think this is the first time I don't have to leave. But, thank you very much. Thank you so much.
All right, so moved on to the next one, and I apologize, sir, for the long night that you went through again.
this one.
I'm apologizing to you.
I know,
Oh,
Larry, I accept
I
your
do,
apology.
Thank you, sir. All right,
It'll
so
depend on what Rachel tells.
Oh,
I'm making enemies already, you know, making friends everywhere I go.
all right, so I would take a motion to open the continued public hearing for street acceptance for Duhamel Way.
So moved.
Okay, made by Bill, seconded by Steve. And start the vote with Steve. Liz, vote.
Liz, I.
Bill, I.
Bill, I.
Marty, aye.
All right, so we're now open on that one. So where do we stand from town staff point of view and the information from? Number one, we need the documents from.
The Colonial Engineering or
Colonial
Plum
Engineering.
Tree Custom LLC.
And then number two is, do we have Jesse commenting?
So I'm gonna turn it over to Rachel because I did way too much talking.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And he.
Well done, sir, though. Well
Yeah,
done.
yes,
Well done.
yes. I was able to reach out, going through again, the street acceptance policy is the amount of items that need to be submitted in order to be placed on the warrant, or have the layout hearing with the select board. They were missing a number of those items. I did reach out to their attorney, and she said, okay, thanks for catching. We're fine moving this to the fall town meeting, so we can get all those items to you in time. So she seemed to think there wouldn't be an issue with it. I think it was a title search, and then the 2 deeds for some of the easements as well as the roadway language to take over. So those are the missing items. Again, it's mostly
Then it would be evaluated based upon the information we receive.
correct.
Okay. All right, so there would be a recommendation to. What's the recommendation that that you'd like to propose?
Based.
Maybe not as strongly as the last one, but similar to, you know, Bill's last motion to pass over the article.
Well, it's not even eligible for warrant,
Right.
correct? So don't we want to continue this until, say, September? To get all those documents in, so that it can be reviewed for the November town warrant?
I'd rather not.
To make open.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, because
if we keep it open, it's then
Yeah.
visible to us as a group to make,
Oh, it'll be-
Oh,
Yeah.
Rachel, I'm not saying it would be.
From a town warrant point of view, what we're really trying to do here is.
It's
to
not-
give them basically to recommend approval or recommend moving forward or not recommend.
Because it's already on the.
Because it's on the
It's
warrant.
on the warrant.
I
So we need to-
didn't get on the warrant without the documents, and I'm asking a process question, because in my mind, it shouldn't have even gotten on the warrant without the documentation, or am I wrong?
You're right.
Correct.
Realistically, yes, it was requested to be put on. And, you know, it wasn't until sort of it was already on the warrant, realized, okay, we don't have the necessary documents. But also because of these impending street acceptances and, you know, we had, the Harmony was also wanting to get on the warrant. Basically said, no, this is way too much. We don't have a process. You know, we pay for legal to do all the legal reviews, including recording of all the plans. So I had gone to the select board and said, here's a draft, here's a policy I'd like to have adopted that layouts what this is, because we're assuming a cost that is really benefiting the developer. And that many towns require specific criteria and documents that the developer provides. So how this all happened, basically now we have that process in place. You know, going forward, especially for fall town meeting, you know, we're gonna have legal review, we're gonna have everything taken care of in a process we can follow.
Well, then what do we do as a board then, if this is on the warrant without the necessary information, what's our process now?
So make a motion.
So-
I'm one of 3 things. And I'm just spitballing here. That due to procedures, we pass over.
So, well, that's what I'm asking.
The
Other item with street acceptance, there's, the select board must, this isn't like a passive like shall, I mean, like may, this is like must. The select board must hold a layout hearing and town meeting accept the road for it to be eligible. If town meeting accepts the road, votes to accept, but the select board never holds a layout hearing, it's a fatal flaw. It will get turned back at the registry of deeds. So without an application, without the materials coming into the select board to even hold out a layout hearing, it doesn't matter what town meeting does. It still can't be accepted. So we'd have to put it on in the warrant in the fall anyways, because you have to do that. You have to record everything within 120 days of town meeting's action. And fall town meeting will be well beyond 120 days. So it starts the process over. I think, here, the planning board won't even schedule that meeting because we don't have an application from them. So the unfortunate thing is it ended up on the warrant, really shouldn't have. But ultimately town meeting, even if it got accepted, it's not gonna be accepted because of the lack of a layout hearing.
Okay.
So the proper recommending passing over, that's pretty much probably the best recommendation to make.
And don't mention November.
No, it's no.
Okay.
We view it, this is gonna be an administrative task. Them doing the legal documents, submitting the title certification, that's all legal administrative work.
Okay.
Is there any way in the planning board bylaws, the special permits and that we phrase in all of these costs that you just said that have to be borne by a contractor now to get all this document?
We're already.
Okay, never mind then. All right, that answered my question.
And it's the street acceptance policy is usually, the policy lies within the select board's authority.
Okay.
They usually, similar to zoning amendments, if they kick it to you to review as well, include. But that's where that, process lives.
But there is opportunities for clarifying and improving the board's process for confirming and certifying that a subdivision is complete. That would help dovetail in with this new policy of the select board so that we're all coming together at the same time, so we don't create these administrative headaches where people in the audience are like, what is going on? And they don't quite understand it because how did it get to the point where someone applies to the select board for street acceptance and it's in statute that the select board has to forward that back to the planning board for them to certify that the subdivision is complete. So that's why this is going to be sort of working together over the summer. I think this was like our number one in reviewing. It may have even been before you started on working on this process so we can just clarify what it looks like, because all these things are really tied together. And not only in Rentham, but also in our prior towns. We have good models, and there's plenty around that. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just identifying what is a best practice to bring and help guide this process.
Yeah.
I do also think it's a good opportunity for the board to at some point look at your subdivision rules and regs and, maybe tighten up some of these areas within that too. So
Great.
whoever's on that team,
We'll be looking for
I hear there's a zoning bylaw team.
Just edification.
All right, great. We may be doing subdivision rules and regs too. No.
For the applicant sitting out there, no matter what we do in the future, he's somewhat grandfathered, correct?
Cool.
This applicant's operating under the current rules.
Oh, no,
No.
no. What? No, like the street acceptance policy?
No, if we change things
Oh,
moving
correct.
forward,
okay.
it doesn't apply to
Anything
Very,
that's
very
currently
often
open.
that is, especially say with design criteria.
Yeah.
Administrative, that's a little different because essentially you're identifying how you're gonna identify that a subdivision is complete.
Mhm.
And that's where also looking at where the peer review is and inspections, making sure that's all set up. Some of these administrative things, technically, yes, because they're not in the current, because it's not in the current subdivision rules and regs, someone would fall under. But then they'd run into, well, now we're running into the select board process as far as
Okay.
requiring the board to certify something is complete and provide a favorable recommendation back to the select board. They then would be following the best practices anyways, and you have a developer that works in other towns, they're probably already following this anyways.
Okay.
Okay,
Do I got my turn?
sir, you've waited this long, you get to stand up and tell us your name.
I can tell you who I am again.
Again, for the record.
Charlie Feely,
Sir.
4 Duhamel Way, cul-de-sac, which is now illegal. Just so you know.
Not illegal, this,
No.
not preferred by,
Yeah.
not preferred by public safety.
Rachel, you had mentioned an attorney or lawyer that you had spoken with, that you were gonna get some of the paperwork.
Yes,
You don't have to tell me the name, like, what attorney is that?
it's, the one that's working, with the Duhamels.
Okay, the one that's working with Betty Duhamel.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
want,
there,
Kathy, my computer died, so I can't check.
it's Kathy.
Okay.
We all died.
Okay.
I'm still running.
So who is she gonna get this paperwork from?
She's, as the attorney, she's probably going to create it, or they, for like the title search, they usually have a company do that.
Okay, all right. So there was also, the last time I was here, there was also the issue of the ponding between 5 and 7 through Hamel that was mentioned. Do you recall that?
So, yeah, I mean, that's where, that was on the lots in between, right? Because of water coming down
Correct.
from the conservation area. That's one of those things that we had discussed and we'll be able to take a closer look because and this is where sort of like almost getting back to the other one. We have to identify what is like associated with private individual lots that are a private party matter versus town infrastructure. I don't have the direct experience looking at this issue. You know, we are still in touch with the former town planners, providing like trying to fill in the blanks so we better understand things. But those are all things that we're just trying to finally resolve so that we can get this one to closure as well.
Okay. Do I understand this correctly, that obviously we're not gonna be on this May town meeting warrant, that it's gonna get passed? And then November was mentioned, and then somebody mentioned 120 days, and we might already be too far along for the November. Are we talking about?
So Town of Bellingham has two.
All right. Does that mean that potentially we would now be on the spring town meeting?
No.
Okay,
So Town of Bellingham has two town meetings, one in May and then one sometime in November. The board typically opens the warrant middle, and then you may be able to correct me. It's like usually middle to the end of August and it lasts about 30 days for fall town meeting.
okay.
So you're talking about, we have all June,
July,
July, and August to take care of this administrative paperwork.
Okay.
That is not, that really for an attorney is simple work. All these legal documents are
But you have to get
very
everybody to
standard.
cooperate, which apparently they haven't done.
But it sounds like at least even, and this is, we had a meeting with Rob about this. The attorney that Rachel's in touch with seems very responsive and wanting to be able to finalize things. It's always harder to get the builder, the contractor to be responsive. The attorneys are usually the responsible ones, especially when it comes to finally getting acceptance taken care of. So here, this is, of course, a much less of a worry compared to the prior one that you sat through, where there are construction related items that the contractors really and the engineers need to be responsible for. Here, this is really
It sounds like
much more
basically all
straightforward.
paperwork, at least based on what Rob did and Rob's investigation.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think it probably ended up on the warrant for the town meeting. Rob thinking he would still be here and he would have been able to get all of the paperwork in place to the planning board,
Yeah,
and he left.
yeah. I don't until I have everything because I've been around too long.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, this is kind of, he only been here 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Not even, it's not even a full
Not
3
even
weeks.
a full 3 weeks.
Yeah, tomorrow will be full 3 weeks. I know, right?
I'm not coming back tomorrow. So when I mentioned the last time, we have been in the house in Duhamel, we were the second one there. We moved in February of 2020. And this is still going on, kind of going back to the whole, not the water issues, but the whole candlelight thing, how long this takes.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Joe and I, we have those legacy projects. Every town has them and it's unfortunate, yeah.
So,
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time and your efforts.
Thank you.
thank you. Is this your last meeting?
I have one more.
One more.
Unless you write them in.
Get everybody in town that you know.
And just so you know, I know you apologize, but at 5 minutes of 7, I asked if I could find out what had happened.
I know.
And not much happened, and I sat here for 3.5 hours.
Actually, what's happened?
Yeah, no.
Sure, thank you.
I'll still come back.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we need a motion.
Make a motion to pass over.
Recommend.
I make a motion to recommend to pass over Duhamel Way being accepted for lack of documentation.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made by Marty, second by Bill.
Eli.
Bill, I.
Bill, I.
Matty, I.
Liz?
Liz, I.
Okay, so that one passes 5-0. We do have approval of the minutes from April 23rd. So we take a second just to take a look.
I read them when I got here. They looked good to me.
Yeah. Anybody else in this second?
I read most of it before I got here. I'm good.
I'm fine. All right, can we get a motion then?
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2026.
Do I have a second? Second. Made by Marty, second by Steve, in favor?
Steve, aye.
Bill, I.
Bill, I.
Marty, aye.
Liz?
Liz, I.
Okay, and that motion passes. One other topic before we close formally. Email trails going around. You gotta be careful about public meeting rules. And my recommendation is not to reply all when it comes up. Stated that way, we all would be vigilant about public meeting rules. So. That's my only comment. I think we've covered a lot tonight. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Rachel, welcome aboard.
Yeah, first one, hopefully.
And you're always,
Hold on.
you're always welcome.
I have one question. Rachel,
He told me this is the last time. He's helping me out. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
yeah.
after tonight, are you coming to our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Because we've got an agenda control now, okay?
okay,
We're gonna work on that.
good.
Good. All right, so I take a motion to end the meeting.
Make a motion to end the meeting.
10:29.
Second. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Second by Bill. And we'll start the vote with Steve. Steve, aye. Liz?
Liz, I.
Bill, aye.
Bill, I.
Marty, aye.
All right, and we are now officially closed. Thank you, Bellingham.
Yes.
Okay.
Good night,